Sean Burke started in net last Friday against Sweden. The former Olympian came up big, making 37 stops. Team Canada responded with some rambunctious forechecking and got the key goal when it counted early in the third. Steve Larmer lifts Canada into a 3-all tie to clinch a berth in the medal round. Today, head coach Dave King has a new challenge. It's the team from Czechoslovakia, led by two brilliant 20-year-olds. Bobby Holik, Hartford's first pick in the '89 draft, registered 43 points in his first NHL season. He'll play on a line with Calgary's Robert Reichel, a first-team All-Star at last year's World Championships. TSN, Canada's leader in international hockey coverage, is pleased to present the 1991 World Hockey Championships from Tampere, Finland. Brought to you by Air Canada, a proud sponsor of international hockey. By Esso Associates and Imperial Oil, you're on your way with Esso. And by Labatt's Blue. Today, from Tampere, Finland, TSN presents live coverage of the final game in the preliminary round-robin segment of the World Championships as Canada faces Czechoslovakia. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending where you are watching from today. I'm Jim Van Horn at our TSN Control Center. We will be taking you to Tampere very, very shortly. It's a big game for Canada as they prepare for the medal round. Their first game will be on Tuesday. They wrap it up today against Czechoslovakia. With more on today's game, here's Gary Green and Paul Romanek.
All right, thank you very much, Jim. A day off and right back into the fray for Team Canada, and for us too, I guess. An important game for Team Canada on one hand, not so important on another hand. They have qualified for the medal round already, so the pressure is off along those regards.
Well, some people are looking at this game as a nothing game. It means nothing for the Czechs, they say, and nothing for Team Canada. But it does, and everyone knows that, is that Canada wants to win this hockey game today, so they are guaranteed of ending up in second place. And what that means then is that they would not have to play the Soviets in the medal round until the very last game. And wouldn't that be climatic?
But not important enough that they're not going to take the chance to rest a couple of guys who need it.
No, they're not going to take any chances when it comes to injured players right now. Rick Natras has got what might be a cracked rib, and so he is not going to play today. Same thing with Craven. He's out. He's not going to perform today. And Sean Burke is not playing as well. There's nothing wrong with Burke, but they're going to go with Billington in net, and maybe Mike Vernon will come in for the second half of the game.
Alrighty, and the biggest game of the tournament played just a little while ago, the host country Finland losing to the United States, so the U.S. is in the medal round. The Finns are out, and we'll be back in a little while. Here's Jim Van Horn.
Thank you very much, Paul. One game already completed today in Finland. The USA has defeated Finland by a score of 2-1. That means that the United States qualifies for the medal round. Todd Krieger scored the winning goal earlier today. So we look at the standings as they stand with the rest of the teams heading in today. The Soviets cannot be touched. They play the Swedes later on today. Canada is in third place and hopefully will move into second place. The USA is in. Finland and Czechoslovakia are out. Joining us once again this morning is Rick Tocchet from the Philadelphia Flyers. Are you surprised that the Finns and the Czechoslovaks have not qualified this year?
Not really. I think that the USA team, if they get good goaltending, they're going to be tough to beat, especially, you know, with Jeremy Roenick playing as well as he has been and, you know, at the top of the leaderboard.
Well, the USA is definitely in, and they could be the surprise of this tournament. We will have to wait and see as Canada now prepares to face the team from Czechoslovakia. They are out. They have nothing to lose. Canada has everything to gain. We'll be back after this.
Happy motoring, Canada. At Esso, we have a tradition of excellent service. We try hard to get you on your way.
Today, you can even serve yourself. And at Esso, we're still here to help.
We do little things like make sure the pump is ready when you are, keeping paper towels, clean water, and squeegees on hand, and even a warm smile to help you on your way.
Full serve or self-serve. At Esso, good service stands the test of time. You're on your way with Esso.
Welcome back to our TSN Control Center. They are now set to go in Tampere, Finland. Let's join Gary Green and Paul Romanek. Canada against Czechoslovakia. Gentlemen?
So for the Czechoslovakians, frustration. They can look ahead to next year. For Team Canada, a positive outlook as they move towards the medal round. Dave King hoping his team can clinch second place with a victory in this game over the Czechs. Hello again, everybody. I'm Paul Romanek along with Gary Green. The World Hockey Championships live on TSN. Great to have you with us. The referee, Schneider Bernhard from Germany, on the lines. A couple of Finnish linesmen, and we are set to start Team Canada in the white, the Czechs in the red. And Canada looking for a boost and a shot heading into the medal round. Joe Sakic along the wing trying to move it out. Canadians controlling off the top. This game being played in Tampere, Finland. And then all the action will head back to Turku for the medal round. Craig Billington in goal there for Team Canada. You see Billington played the last little bit of the game against the Soviets and looked very solid, Gary.
I think that Dave King wanted to give Billington that opportunity, but he also beat the Swedes 8-5 in a pre-tournament game, Paul, so I think the team will play well for him.
Yuri Schleger drops it off and goes for the net, tries to poke it in behind Billington. Knocked away. Schleger continues to badger along the boards, trying to get it loose. Gets some help there from Kuchera. Back into the corner. Golajo. Can't make the play back at the line, and both teams will make some changes. We are just underway. Played 1 minute and 2 seconds. Canada and the Czechs, and it's 0-0.
I think there might have been another reason for starting Billington as well. Dave King knows that it's tough to motivate his team to play a game today that really doesn't mean a great deal. Even though that we've said that, yes, it does. They've got to get second place overall. That's important. But it's another thing trying to get your players to believe the importance of today's game. If they had have put Sean Burke or Mike Vernon in right away, then I don't know if the team might not have just laid back a little bit and figured, hey, we've got two very qualified goaltenders to do the job.
Courtnall, long shot that is batted away by Peter Brija, who is in goal for the Czechs. Brija has played all 6 games so far for them in this tournament. He lost against Canada last year 5-3 in the preliminary round, and of course beat them in the medal round. Down in the corner, Ronning trying to get it out in front. Ronning out there with Courtnall and Linden. This has been a very effective line for Team Canada during this tournament. The Canuck triumvirate. Here's Courtnall. Looks around, waits for his mates to catch up. Here comes Ronning with Linden. Can't get the pass across to him. Knocked down. Ronning can't keep it in. Golajo moves it out across to center. Doug Lidster, the Canadian captain, wrapping it up off the boards, and it's fired back in. Played 2 minutes of the first period, 0-0. Canada and Czechoslovakia. Preliminary round action from the 1991 World Hockey Championships on TSN. Here's Yves Racine, back for Fleury. Rolls it through in front, bouncing puck. Trying to clear it out of his coach. It gets it over to the boards. And Volek will now move it out. David Volek sandwiched out. Pollock will set things up.
Canada has to play a very sound defensive game today. They need their offense flying. The Kings going to want to make sure that defensively they do their job and they do it well. They don't want a bad game going into the medal round.
Here's Archibald looking in front. Drops it off back of the net. Archibald trying to go back in front. Lots of traffic down in front of Brija. Archibald back to help out now. Loose puck picked up, and here comes Robert Hollick back out for the Czechs. Up there with David Volek. Volek is trailing. He'll go after it now down into the corner. Volek still loses his balance and the puck, and Lidster able to move it up around the boards. Played just over 3 minutes, 0-0 hockey game. Canada coming back. Here comes Bozek. He'll just rag the puck, and here come the reinforcements now as Canada completes the changes. Fleury up there to forecheck. Just takes a flyby, and he'll peel back to the bench. Lots of room for the Czechs to move it out. They'll be wanting to make changes soon as well. Here's Hollick. Top of the slot. Shoots. That is low and wide. Here's Schlegel. Just moving it down the ice. Now the Czechs will make a couple of changes, and Brija decides he'll hang on with Steve Thomas right there in the doorstep.
I'm a little surprised maybe that Brija is playing today. I thought they might have gone with a young 17-year-old, Halika, just to give him the opportunity. But yet, and Dave King knows as well, that Stan, the man as they call him, the coach of the Czech team, has got lots of pressure on him. He may well lose his position as the head coach of this Czech team, just because of how they have performed in the World Championship.
A lot of controversy in Czechoslovakia heading into this. He decided that he wanted to bring a veteran team to this tournament, and 5 of the top scorers from the Czech League, younger players, were dropped from the club in favor of veterans, and they have paid the price.
And he might as well.
Yeah, exactly. I guess you former coaches have been down that road before.
Well, he had the decision, though, and he chose to make it.
Played 3:45 in the first period, 0-0 hockey game.
I think you can recall last year in Bern, Switzerland, for the World Championships, that The Czechs had an excellent opportunity to show off a very high-powered young line. And Pollock, Reichel, and Jager was the key line for the Czechs in last year's World Championships.
Larmer moving it up and out for Team Canada. Here comes Thomas. He's got the big shot. Doesn't get a chance to use it that time. Thomas bumped it along the boards. Can't pick it up. Look at Sakic working down there, trying to get it out to Thomas. Conroy whips it across. Schlegel shoots. Knocked away. Up around the boards. Conroy again with a shot right in front of the net. And it's covered up by Peter Brija. And we'll get a face-off down in Czechoslovak territory. Played 4:19 in Canada with the first good chance of the game. Understand we're experiencing some difficulty with our audio transmissions back to North America. We apologize. We're working to rectify the transmission and hope you'll bear with us. Things may not sound good, but they certainly look good for Team Canada after that little flurry around the Czech net.
Czechs had a pretty motivating practice yesterday, and there was lots of momentum for them, even though there is little for this placing of the World Championships.
Trevor Linden along the boards. Gets it loose. Here's Ronning. Dipping and darting around, looking for an opening. Sees one. Gets it into Linden. Back in front. Tapped away. Linden moving it up. Here's Ronning. Trying to come in there with Courtnall. They're stopped up at the line.
Canada's defense right now are really trying to look for that open man in the mid-ice area. They're trying to go up the middle on the Czechs, maybe freeing up their boards.
Josef Branik moving it up. Cleared back in. Ronning trailing. Linden drops it out. Pass was behind Ronning. Czechs break back quickly. Here comes Branik. Stepping in. Shooting. Just wide. Volk steps up. Trying to power one through. McCowan blocking it. Here's Kuchera. Back out to the line. Musil with a shot. That's knocked away. Courtnall was out there at center. They couldn't hit him with the pass. Fired back in there by Branik. Lidster back there to pick it up. He's got Smith breaking through the middle. He gets it to him. Here comes Smith. Racine is trailing. There's Archibald up there too. He's got it in the corner now. Archibald back of the net for Fleury. Centers it right in front. Racine couldn't bury it. Played 6 minutes, a 0-0 hockey game, and Canada with a couple of chances the last few minutes. But here come the Czechs. Reichel right through. Fires that wide. Billington taps it off there for Lidster. Reichel continuing the chase, but it's a futile one this time. Here's Fleury. Smith to Fleury. Archibald in front. Archibald right in front. Racine shot. And Brija with not one but two solid saves. Canada with the chances, but no goals so far.
I'm down at La Barre playing La Shark. Man, it was bad from La Break. First, it's La Combo. Then La English. Then La Jump Shot. I never even got in my game. But at least she fought La Beer. And La Beer was La Bat. Dry.
Team Canada and the Czechs tied at 0. I'm Paul Romanek with Gary Green. Jim Van Horn back at our control center watching the action. Team Canada and Czechoslovakia, the 1991 World Hockey Championship on TSN. Here's Pollock with his shot. And Billington almost got caught on the short side. Kicked that away, the puck on the mesh. And rolled right through the goal crease by Pollock. Good pressure by the Czechs now. Lubina after it in the corner. He's tied up. Here comes Sakic. Looking. Thomas in front. Can't convert on the pass. Pollock moving it back out.
Sakic tried to time it perfectly. Almost worked.
Larmer a shot, and Brija will grab it, and he's going to hang on. He had Thomas right behind him.
He sure is. He's not going to let go of that puck too often today. Not with Canada coming in, 2 men in, forechecking, trying to get the skating legs early in this hockey game. Steve Thomas showed some good skating legs. He just broke right to the net.
Peter Brezia hasn't looked bad so far at all. He was in the shadows for many years in the Czechoslovakian hockey program, in the shadow of Dominik Hasek, who, of course, is in the Chicago system now.
And even though Chicago are beat out, Hasek isn't here because he's playing in Indianapolis in the playoffs in the International Hockey League.
Here's Topol down in the corner, number 18. Battling with Yanni, gets it loose. Zemlika looking in front. He's got Topol there, number 18. Zemlika, good work along the boards. Zemlika still. Topol stepping back, trying to knock it down. He can't. Rings all the way up around the boards and back down the ice. Courtnall up there to forecheck, bumping with Schmelik along the boards. Here's Linden to Courtnall, to Linden. He's tied up. A swat at it, and Brezia again forced to cover it up. Canada really going to the net very aggressively so far in this game.
Even if it takes 3 men to go. Courtnall actually took an elbow, but hung in there. Made the play, was able to get right back at the net. Trevor Linden was in there, and you can see Ronning also parked just off to the right of Peter Brezia. Brezia took a whack at that puck, and because he tried to clear it himself, it was deflected, went up high.
Linden was right there in the doorstep trying to get a swat at it. He's 20 years old, and he's already got 3 NHL seasons under his belt. That's something.
And he's just acquiring more and more abilities through these type of opportunities. These are good for him. This type of competition, big ice service. He's a tremendous skater. We found that out in the skills competition at the All-Star Weekend this past February in Chicago.
Lidster trying to sneak it up the middle there for Smith. Broken up. Yuri Schleger down in the corner. Had his pocket picked by Bozak. Here's Fleury looking around. Fleury still dipping and diving along the board. Centers it in front. Nobody home. Nobody for Canada anyways. Lucille gets it up around the boards, and the Czechs will make some changes. Yves Racine back to pick it up for Team Canada. Approaching the halfway mark of this first period, 0-0 hockey game. Canada certainly had the lion's share of the chances, though. Russell in over the line. Waits, shoots. Billington the save. Big rebound, but it's snapped up. Canada coming back. Here comes Thomas. Sakic is trailing. Thomas to Sakic. Shoots. Brezia got a piece of it. Larmer has it pulled away, and back comes Dolazio. Dolazio in over the blue line. Medrick's up there with him. Billington will just swat it away.
You saw what was happening, though, Paul. Canada were trying to press 3 men in. They got caught. 4-on-2.
Reznicek moves it out in front. Frankel a shot. Medrick all the way back into his own end. And Gary, you see the way the Czechs will take it all the way back into their own end and set up for the next attack.
That works, and it works fine as long as they make sure of their passes in their own end zone. Canada will be alert to try and anticipate a bad pass.
Lubina looking in front. He's got Volek up there with him. Can't get it to him, though. Here's Ronning for Canada. McCowan just clears it in. Jeff Courtnall up there. Cedric Sherban trying to get away from Courtnall. Linden has moved in to help. Chops it loose, and in turn has it poked off of his stick there by Lubina. McCowan up along the boards.
You saw Cliff Ronning when he was breaking the puck through the neutral zone. He looked a little bit like a European there, trying to beat 2-3 men.
Here's Trevor Linden trying to beat 2 men. He does, gets it in front, but Courtnall couldn't get to the puck. Pollock being watched down there by Linden and Courtnall. Schmelik moves it up. Here comes Sherban in over the blue line. Sherban waits right across in front of the net, and Pollock couldn't get to it. Ronning back up for Courtnall. Swatted away. Here comes Volek shooting way wide. Up around the boards now. Lubina with a shot. Billington the save. Here's Volek with the rebound. Trying to get loose to get it in front. Volek up there to help out. Here's Lubina now. Some traffic in front. Labina can't get it there at the line. Musil with a shot. Rebound in front. Couple of swats at it. Billington trying to cover it up. It's still loose. Centered in front, and Bolek couldn't put it away.
Billington was quick. He was up and down, right back on his feet and in position.
Icing called on Team Canada. Still 0-0.
There's a way of doing things because it's your job. Then there's a way of doing things because you care. Above and beyond. That's the Air Canada way.
Out through center for Team Canada, Steve Conroy gets it down and over the blue line. Offside called on Canada.
The Czechs started putting some pressure on the Canadians, and the way to do it, as far as the Czechs are concerned, is not to give up that puck, to be able to maintain possession of it, to find open space, and to look for a man. But Dave King was making it very plain to his players when they came back to the bench after that last shift, was defensive coverage and not to get caught racing, just running around trying to grab a man. Got to play smart hockey. Defensive positioning.
Radek Kopal trying to knock it loose to the Czechs along the boards. Archibald clearing it down in for Team Canada. Smith legging in there after it. Takes a look. Archibald curling around back of the net, but he couldn't get it to him. Archibald checking along the boards now, trying to pick it up. One hands it back up. Smith jabs at it, being pressured there by Zemlika. Here comes Kolek. Stepping in, Zemlika going for the net. Zemlika back of the net now, knocks it down. Rezniak, a shot right on, and Billington will hang on.
Talk about defensive coverage in your own end zone. What international play does in giving these NHL players the opportunity to experience this is that they've got to really read the play. It just can't be all intensity. They can't just be running around, crashing into players and taking the body all the time. It's not easy to take the body in international play simply because it's so much of a bigger ice surface, Paul, especially when you start measuring the distance to the corners.
Into the corner, Kuchera after it for the Czechs, battling in there with Trent Yanni. And Yanni able to tie up Kuchera, Canada coming away with it.
You're a defenseman and you start out in front of your own net in the defensive zone, and then all of a sudden find the puck in the corner and you feel you've got to go after it. You've got to make sure that you're positioned appropriately and not just go running into the boards looking for a big crash play.
Theron Fleury, a little bit of a veteran of international experience. Has had some success anyways at the junior level. Played in a couple of teams. One of them won the gold medal, the other involved in the infamous Piastani brawl. Here comes Sakic. Thomas exploding for the net. Sakic couldn't get it to him. Thomas really had a nice burst of speed coming in. He's got it now in the corner. Tied up in the play. Kuchera moving it up. Here comes Brejnik. Kuchera trailing. Yanni. Brejnik knocks it loose. Brejnik still down along the boards. Really hanging in there tough. Finally, he's tied up. Kuchera's down there. Thomas will finally pick it up and move it out for Team Canada. Larmer just flips it down in. Team Canada making some changes. Gary, when you were coaching, did you ever coach international type hockey, and how did you adjust your game plan in light of all that you've mentioned in terms of the way the Europeans come at you differently?
Especially defensive coverage, Paul, in your own end zone and the way that they handle the puck. And you have to be so concerned positionally. But also in the neutral ice, they utilize the neutral ice a great deal. Listen to Dave King.
Yeah, up on the board. Yeah, I threw it out, but it went off his stick. Right away, don't. Working hard out there, guys. You played well.
You'll oftentimes hear King refer to positioning and reading the play, especially. And in the neutral ice, you've got to be able to do that against international teams.
There's a guy I think would be ideal to come over and play in Europe, Cliff Ronning. Not the referee, Cliff Ronning.
Well, he's ideal right now to play for the Vancouver Canucks, the way that he fit into that organization so well after coming in the trade from St. Louis.
Well, not that he doesn't play well in the NHL, but he's got that great quickness that you can really utilize on the large ice surface. I was talking to him the other day after a practice, and he was saying he wishes the NHL would go to the international-sized ice. Here comes Ronning now. Up there with Courtnall. Ronning waits. And you look at him curl around. Lots more room over here than in the NHL. Ronning can't get to it back of the net. Racine moving up. Trying to get it to Ronning back of the goal. Broken up. Doolajou. Courtnall knocks it down. Gets it in front. Brija the save. He robbed Trevor Linden. Linden's got it now to Racine. Shoots. Ronning tried to tip it in. Batted away by Brija. Ronning after it back of the net. Given a bump there by Doolajou. Doolajou on his knees. Can't tie it up. Linden in front, and Courtnall electing to dip it back to the point. And I think the most surprised guy out there was Doug Lidster, who's back to get it now. Don't know if Lidster was expecting that pass. Lubina. Bellington pokes it, rebound. Volek with a chance, and Bellington pulls a rabbit out of the hat there. Slager centers it. Big stop. Volek was robbed.
Great save by Billington.
Pollock down on the corner. Can't get it in front. Lidster breaks it up. First good sustained pressure for the Czechs, and Billington came up big for Canada. And Brija will hang on as Archibald cruises in for a look-see. We played 15:42 of this first period, a 0-0 hockey game. The goaltenders have looked sharp.
Wake up, hey Canada, wake up. Today is on McCain Day.
What's the secret of McCain's richer tasting juice? More oranges. McCain concentrates the juice of more oranges into every can. More than Minute Maid, more than Old South. So you have a special reason to buy McCain.
You bet I do.
It's like an extra squeeze of juice in every glass. So compared to Minute Maid and Old South, you have an extra reason to drink McCain.
You bet I do. Wake up to McCain.
(0-0) Canada and Czechoslovakia 1991 World Hockey Championship exclusively on TSN. Hope you're enjoying your weekend, and hope you can sit back and join us for the next couple of hours. Some great international hockey. Medrek. Chemlika. Can't even make it to the blue line on that rush. Fleury pokes it loose. Fleury's up front at center. Can't get to the puck that time. Bozak trying to get it up for Archibald. And two-line pass called on Team Canada. The face-off will go back into Canadian territory.
At one point, the shots were 9-3 in favor for Canada, but Czechoslovakia has come on, especially this last 5 minutes. Shots on net now 12-10. For Czechoslovakia.
No penalties so far in the game. And having said that, we'll probably have one called sometime this shift.
Cowan making sure that he didn't block or screen Billington.
Here's Sherban. Yanni taking a poke at it. Can't come up with it. Sherban again. Quarterbacking things from center. Gets it in over the blue line, but Thomas knocks it down. Thomas, Larmer, and Sakic up there for Team Canada. Brija will clear it up. Czechs start back. Brejnik in over the blue line. Across for Kuchera, and that is broken up in the crowd. Sakic back for Canada. Stopped at center. Schmelik back into his own end. And icing called on the Czechs.
Well, you're talking about the difference in preparing to play international teams. There's a big difference depending on where you're playing them. If you're playing them Canada Cup and you're playing them in NHL buildings, then you can play far more so your own game. You can take the body. It's easier to do. But in this big ice surface, well, there's not much hitting. Steve Larmer said it best. Steve said he kind of enjoyed playing international hockey. He said, I wake up in the morning, I'm not stiff, I'm not sore, I don't have bumps and bruises, I don't have ice packs all over my body. He kind of has enjoyed his World Championship opportunity.
Well, can you blame Jari Kurri for taking the year off to play in Italy, playing 35 games under those kinds of conditions, and making more money than he would have in the NHL?
The question is, will he remain with Milan next year? Very big disappointment for Jari Kurri and all of the Finnish team and all of the Finnish fans that they have ended up out of medal competition, or contention, I should say, here at this tournament.
Well, it's been a disappointing tournament for the Czechs, and then, as you mentioned, the Finns losing just a few hours ago. That was the big game today. Everybody in this country was glued to the TV set this afternoon, watching the host Finnish team battle the U.S., and Team Finland lost the game and do not qualify for medal round play.
John Van Beesbroek played very well in net for Team USA.
Brezhnev with a shot. That's just wide. Cordnell out to center, had his pocket picked. Here comes Lubina in front. Holik right in there. Billington the stop. Rebound. They chop at it and can't put it home. Pollock into Lubina. In front. Pollock tied up, and Billington will hang on this time.
Billington has really looked sharp for this first period. And what I was saying initially about Dave King's decision to go with Billington today had nothing to do, and I didn't mean to infer that he was less respected by his teammates than Mike Vernon or Sean Burke. But the point remains is that Vernon and Burke are two very qualified National Hockey League goaltenders, and these are National Hockey League players. Putting Billington in, who has adjusted to the NHL players very well. They like Billington a great deal. How can you not like him? He's a very likable person. But Dave King has had an easier time this year getting the players to gel. There's a lot of momentum I think he's got going because of players who just experienced the World Championships for the first time.
Well, I saw him play as a junior, Craig Billington, and he was a great junior goalie with Belleville, and I really don't think he's gotten a good shot to play in the NHL, and I hope he gets that somewhere.
Well, I think the players, the National Hockey League players, have liked Billington so much that I just felt that Dave King knew that he could put him in here today. He was confident of his abilities, but knowing also how much the NHL players have liked him here at the World Championships and being part of Team Canada, that they would play hard for him today.
And Craig Billington is committed to staying on with this team through the Olympic Games next year, and that will be a big asset for Team Canada to have him backstopping the goaltenders. 0-0 hockey game. Czechoslovakia and Canada. Craig Billington and the Czechoslovakian goaltender Peter Brezhnev have both played very well. That shot tipped up into the mesh behind Billington, and we get a stoppage. Played 18 minutes and 16 seconds. This game being played in Tampere, Finland. The main venue for the tournament is Turku, but Canada down here for this game, actually up here for this game. I failed geography.
Not a strange building to Yuri Kuchera. Kuchera plays here for Tampere during the regular season.
It's Tampere.
Tampere.
I've asked enough Finnish people to make sure I'm saying it correctly.
I actually had a player, Anton Lehtinen, who played for me in Washington, that was from Tampere. But then it was Tampere, Paul.
Here comes Archibald, shoots just wide. Back out comes Brejnek. Brejnek up there, so's Kuchera. Kuchera now. Trying to get it in front for Brejnek. He's tied up by Conroy. Darren Fleury clears it in. He'll head back to the bench. Dave King making some changes, and he'll get a chance to make wholesale changes as Berisha hangs on. 1 minute and 3 seconds to play in the opening period.
Team Canada made a trip yesterday after a practice in Turku. They came here to Tampere, and they visited the Canadian Embassy early last evening. Peter Brezhnev looked pretty sharp in the net in this first period. Both goaltenders, as you have mentioned, have performed well, which has frustrated the offense of both teams.
Here's Steve Thomas up there for Team Canada, out there with Larmer and Sakic. Golajo. forging his way to center, gets some help now from Rosso. Pulled away, Dolagel almost stole it. He'll continue the chase down in the corner. Thomas taps it off. Larmer trying to fake his way through. Thomas punching one in there, knocked away. Thomas back of the net, can't come up with it. 30 seconds left. Resnicek can't clear it out. Thomas up there deep to forecheck. Sakic backing him up. Reichel shoots. Tapped away by Billington, and will get a stoppage.
So hard to be aggressive in the neutral zone with this big ice surface on teams that play so well. That you got a quick glance of Al McNeil and Doug Risebrough from the Calgary Flames organization, who have just arrived here to watch this World Championship competition. Back to the neutral zone, though. When you're trying to be aggressive, you go after the puck carrier, then you can't just always play the body. These guys are too good one-on-one.
Volek shoots, and that had top shelf written all over it. And Billington just reached up to the top shelf and closed the door. 10 seconds left in the period. And they'll try the same play. You see Volek, they'll try to get it right back to him. And Hollick can't win the draw this time. 5 seconds left in the period. So Team Canada and Team Czechoslovakia skate through one period of play. Both goaltenders playing very well. Greg Billington for Team Canada and Peter Brezia for Team Czechoslovakia. Czechoslovakia outshooting Canada by a margin of 17-11. First intermission is on deck. With more, here's Jim Van Horn.
Thank you, Paul. Coming up in our first intermission, we will chat with the young Czechoslovakian players, Bobby Holik and Robert Reichel. We'll chat with Rick Tocchet about the first period. Paul and Gary will have their observations on the first 20 minutes of hockey as the preliminary round wraps up today. Medal round gets underway on Tuesday. 0-0, Canada, Czechoslovakia. First intermission coming up.
New album of the decade is burning up the airwaves. This is Guitar Rock, a giant 40-song collection. American woman, stay away from me. Guitar Rock, all original hits by the original stars on 2 double-length cassettes, $24.95. 2 compact discs, $29.95. Nothing rocks harder or louder. Have your credit cards ready. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-433-6900 or send $24.95 for 2 cassettes or $29.95 for 2 compact discs plus $4 shipping and handling to Guitar Rock, P.O. Box 600, Station R, Toronto, Ontario.
Rollerblade. Get ready to get radical with the lifestyle sport of the 90s. Get in line with Rollerblade and National Sports Center. All you need is imagination and the original Rollerblade to fly first class. National Sports Center. Count on total customer satisfaction. It's guaranteed.
Sunday, TSN's extensive hockey coverage continues with Canada taking on Czechoslovakia at the World Hockey Championship. Then buckle up for some high-speed oval racing from Martinsville, Virginia. It's NASCAR's Haynes 500. And then we go back to the rink for some exciting midget hockey. The best teams in the country compete for the Air Canada Cup. The World Hockey Championship, NASCAR's Haynes 500, and the Air Canada Cup. Sunday on TSN.
Welcome back to TSN's exclusive coverage of the World Hockey Championships. Through the first period of play, Canada and Czechoslovakia have played to a goalless draw so far. Canada is into the medal round. Czechoslovakia will not qualify this year, much to the disappointment of 2 of their bright young stars, Bobby Holik and Robert Reichel. Extensive experience in the last couple of months with the NHL, and they are the future of the national team in Czechoslovakia. Paul Romanek has more in this report from Finland.
Bobby Hollick and Robert Reichel have definitely had a hectic year. First, it was their debuts as rookies in the National Hockey League. then the pressures of a first-round playoff loss, and now the World Championship.
The season was over and I came here. You know, I didn't have a time to think about it. I came here and started playing World Championship. I really haven't had a time to think about my first league in the NHL.
Reichel scored 19 goals, picked up 41 points overall for the Calgary Flames, rather respectable totals for the rookie winger. With that experience behind him, Reichel eagerly awaits his second year in Calgary.
I have better season next year because this year I play not too many shifts in the team, and I have not too many ice time in Europe last year. I think when I got the same ice time in Europe, I got more points.
Most European players regard the World Championships as the pinnacle of hockey. However, 1 year in North America, and these two Czechmates have other ideas.
The real hockey is playing in the NHL. It's really the best league in the world, the best hockey in the world, because it's a little slower, you know, a lot of skating here, but no hitting. It's not so exciting for people. And now I realize the Stanley Cup is the most what hockey player can reach.
Hi, I'm Bob Vila. You know, for years I've been helping people turn average homes into their dream houses, like Dave and Marianne Corbett. They love this place, but they can still see room for improvement.
That's right, Bob. You know, for one thing, the kitchen, it's too dark.
Maybe some track lighting would help.
Oh, that's an idea.
Most people don't realize how easy it is to improve a home and increase its value with a few simple projects. And Time Life Books' Home Repair and Improvement series can guide you through practically any job. Call now for your first book, Kitchens and Bathrooms, for a free 15-day examination. Other books will follow about every other month, always on the same free trial basis. Keep only those you want, cancel anytime. Remember, your home is your biggest investment. With a little help from Time Life Books, you can make sure it keeps on growing in value.
To examine kitchens and bathrooms free for 15 days, call 1-800-854-2200. Keep it and pay just $14.99 plus shipping and handling. You'll also get this Stanley tape measure free, so call 1-800-854-2200.
Going to have to go a ways if they expect to beat Czechoslovakia by a score of 30-0 today. It is 0-0 through the first period of play. Welcome back to our TSN Control Center in Toronto. I'm Jim Van Horn, along with Philadelphia Flyer forward Rick Tocchet. Almost a no-hitter in that first 20 minutes. Not a lot of intensity, but good goaltending.
Yeah, I think that was the key to this first period, both goaltenders. I think Canada wanted to have their power play and penalty kill tested today, and going in the middle round, I think Dave King wanted that, and there was no penalty, so it was kind of, you know, iffy period right there.
A lot of people have been questioning the power play of Team Canada, but when you get guys together for the first time the way, and it's certainly not making excuses, probably the power play would be one of the things that would be the most difficult to achieve.
Yeah, it's tough. Everybody has their own power play method in the NHL, you know, 21 different teams, and you know, you get different players out there. You know, Steve Larmer, they're probably going to try to keep Steve Larmer with Steve Thomas and with Sakic out there. Those guys are great power play specialists, and I think it's just a matter of time before they click.
Now, Team Czechoslovakia will not make it to the medal round this year. They've officially been eliminated, obviously, to the disappointment of the fans, not only in Czechoslovakia, but Finland as well, because the Finns and the Czechoslovaks are perennially in the medal round. But for some reason, they have struggled this season. When you look at the fact that this is their last game in the preliminary round, their tournament is not over. They still have to play in the consolation round to make sure that they are seeded next year.
Well, there's nothing more than they want to beat as Canada, and you know, have some type of pride going back. I'm sure that you know, their program is going to be under wraps, and the coach and things like that. So a win today will be a big boost for them.
Well, certainly they have lots of time still to pull it out, but Team Canada has something to say about that as well. We'll take a break and come back with more of our live coverage of the World Hockey Championships after this.
The acclaimed PBS series on the Civil War is now available on home video cassette from Time Life Video. The reviews are overwhelming.
If better use has ever been made of television, I have not seen it. A video miracle. Magnificent.
5 years in the making, the Civil War brings to life the most devastating conflict in our nation's history.
It's the lonesome dove of documentaries.
It's the complete story of the war as told through the eyes of those who lived it. Call now, and we'll deliver your first episode for just $19.95 plus shipping and handling. Watch as a massive Union Army meets Robert E. Lee and his rebels at Gettysburg to wage this legendary battle. The Civil War. Call now. Use your credit card and call toll-free for your first episode on the Battle of Gettysburg for just $19.95 plus shipping and handling. Future videos will arrive about every other month. There's no commitment to buy. Cancel anytime.
Every morning at this time, Dad puts one of those great Eggo waffles in the toaster, and I'm always the last to get one. Until today.
Hey, let go of my Eggo.
I can almost taste it. 2, 1. Brilliant.
Eggo waffles, part of this complete breakfast.
A flawless execution. Almost.
Eggo waffles from Kellogg's.
Welcome back to our TSN Control Center. I'm Jim Van Horn along with Rick Tocchet. In case you've just joined us, there's no score between Canada and Czechoslovakia after the first period of play. Earlier today, Finland losers to the United States by a score of 2-1. The United States going in with a lot of talent on paper. They struggled early, playing to a couple of ties, but for them to get into the medal round, they have to consider this tournament to be a successful one.
Oh, definitely. Just winning in Finland against Finland's hometown, that's a big win. 2-1. The U.S. has got a good chance, as good as anybody. Like I said, if they get the goaltending, Ronek, guys like that, Brian Mullen, these guys come through for these guys. They're going to be tough to beat.
Finland is also a team that plays a definite North American style of hockey. They have the rugged players. Esa Tikkanen in Edmonton has indicated that throughout the course of the playoffs. But it has to be devastating for the home country to be knocked out of the medal round.
Yeah, especially with the crowd, and the refereeing is kind of like suspect over there. They dive over there, and usually the home crowd can kind of buy a few penalties. It's a lot of credit to the U.S. team and teams that have beat Finland, because it's tough to play European hockey over there.
All right, Rick, thank you very much. We are set to go now with Gary Green and Paul Romanuk with comments on their first period of play. Let's take you back to Tampere, Finland.
Kind of interesting about that feature on the Czechoslovakian players. When I talked to them, they talked about the fact that when they were young, they thought the World Championship was the biggest thing in hockey. But now that they've gone over and played in the NHL, they think the Stanley Cup is the biggest thing in hockey and that it's tougher to win.
Well, it's the best league in the world, the National Hockey League. There's no question about that. And so winning a Stanley Cup, as many players have found out, is very, very difficult. But then again, this tournament doesn't get enough respect really back home in North America, Paul, because of the fact that it is going on during the time of the Stanley Cup playoffs, and we've got some great playoffs going on right now. But this is a really world-class event with excellent hockey. It's a different brand of hockey, but until you come over here and experience the World Championships, then don't downplay it.
Oh, it's the second time I've been lucky enough to be here, and it is a real grind for all these teams, especially the elite teams that are battling for the medal. In terms of battling, I mean, this game, great battle between the two goaltenders, and it takes me back to the game Canada played in the medal round last year against the Czechs that they lost, and it seemed to sour things for Canada, and I wonder if Dave King is thinking of that.
Well, I think both coaches right now are going to try and figure out, first of all, in the second period, as to how to beat the goaltenders, because Briza has played well for the Czechoslovakian team, and Craig Billington has really put out a great performance in this first period. So we'll see what comes in the second, but again, getting some offense and some confidence early, and whoever scores first might just gain the momentum and be able to keep it for a little while.
All righty, second period is on deck, and with more from our control center, here's Jim Van Horn and Rick Tocchet.
Thank you, Paul and Gary. Rick, you've had 7 years in the NHL. What would it mean to you to win the Stanley Cup? You've missed the playoffs for the last 2 years.
You can't take it for granted, Jim. That's the one thing that I've learned, going in my 8th year. I've gone to the finals twice. You figure the first 2 times we went, we'll be back there again, but it hasn't happened, and that's the biggest thing. To win the Stanley Cup's the ultimate, no question.
Maybe next year, who knows?
I hope so.
All right, we'll take a break and come back with the second period of play from Tampere, Finland, 0-0, a scoreless tie through 1. We'll be back.
Why does one person excel above all others? Is it motivation, raw talent, desire? Is it personal satisfaction, intelligence, luck? There's no magic formula, and there's really no secret. But there is Soloflex. Because Soloflex is designed and engineered with one thing in mind, your body's needs. And we've created the finest, most complete, and simplest system to attain those needs. With Soloflex, the reward is yours. For a free brochure, call anytime.
We hope you're enjoying our live coverage of the World Hockey Championships from Tampere, Finland. Canada and Czechoslovakia are goalless through the first intermission. As we saw in that first period, there were no goals scored.
Thomas to Sakic, shoots. Croatia got a piece of it. Here's Lubina now. Some traffic in front. Lubina can't get it there at the line. Musil with a shot. Rebound in front. Couple of swats at it. Billington trying to cover it up. It's still loose. Centered in front, and Bullock couldn't put it away. Cordnell out to center. Had his pocket picked. Here comes Lubina in front. Holik right in there. Billington the stop. Rebound. They chop at it and can't put it home.
No goals scored in the first period, but Czechoslovakia enjoying the edge in shots, 17-11 over Canada. Second period set to go. Here's Gary Green and Paul Romanek.
0-0 heading into the second period. Craig Billington and Peter Brija, both the stories in that first period, the two goaltenders. The Czechs outshooting Canada 17-11.
And for scoring chances, Czechoslovakia had 9 scoring chances to Canada's 4 in that first period.
And again, I think back to that game that Canada played about a year ago, game 1 of the medal round against the Czechs, where they were close for the first little bit of the game. The Czechs came out then and put things away. Rick Tocchet, who's watching this game, was on that team last year. There's a chance. Stepping up, Lubina trying to battle his way in. Has the door closed on him there. Up there after it now is Berenik. Berenik on the backhand, takes a look. Nice move, gets it right in front of the net. Just rolls away from Billington. Czechs now with some pressure to start the period, and Billington is going to settle things down and hang on for a face-off.
Czechoslovakians really controlled the play, especially in about the 12-minute mark of that first period, when they came back into their own zone, started playing their puck possession game, doing all of their swirling, making sure that they waited for the precise opportunity to break out of their own zone. Now that becomes frustrating for Team Canada because they are just not accustomed to playing enough hockey with that being done to them by the opposition.
That one teed up and fired wide. Other point. Reznicek with a shot wide. Reznicek let a couple of good drives go in the first period. So Lajal in front. They can't get it to him. Here's Linden. Sees some daylight. Drops it back. Ronning's up there with him. Back to Linden for Courtnall. Yanni a shot. And it's cleared out by the Czech. Here's McCowan. Back for Yanni. Dolajov. High drive pulled down by Billington. The Czechoslovakians make some changes on the go. Played a minute 25, second period action just underway. Team Canada and Czechoslovakia, World Hockey Championship. Here's David Volek. Tried to sneak it through the screen. Sherban drops it off now. Dolajov in the corner. Battling, gets it back out. Here's Volek. Shoots in front, spinning, and Holik with his shot, knocked away. Linden back out for Canada. And Jamie McCowan will clear it in, and Dave King reciprocating those Czech changes.
Canada will want to make sure that they continue with some pretty short shifts. 50-second, 60-second shifts, that's about it. Dave King wants to use his whole bench today, making sure that players are well rested going into that medal round. At the same time, feeling confident that by using his whole bench, they can still win this hockey game. Again, it's important for Canada to win this hockey game to end up in second place overall in the standings.
And the Czechoslovakians, regardless of how this game finishes, will not see any medal round action. Puck caught up in the meshing and finally play whistled down.
But some people might say, well, what difference does it make? You have to play the Soviets sometime or other in the medal round anyway. I think, though, Canada would prefer to play them on the very last day of the competition.
And it would be a great way to end a great hockey tournament, a matchup between hockey's two superpowers, Canada and the USSR.
A lot more motivation for this Czechoslovakian team now. You would think that they would have played better. The number of players that have come to the National Hockey League and the opportunities that now exist for players to do that, for younger players to do that, as has been shown in this past season.
On top of which, the Czechoslovakians hosting the World Championship next year in Prague, and you would love to be the defending champions in your own country. Archibald smoking one wide, up around the boards and all the way back down the ice. Yves Racine. Lots of room to move it up, and here comes Theron Fleury. Hits the line. Got Archibald with him. Fleury still ragging that puck for Lidster. Here's Lidster. Right in front, scores.
Beautiful.
Bozak, and Canada's up 1-0.
Doug Lidster was thinking defensively, first of all. He started to pull out of the zone. Then he jumped back in just in time to keep the puck in. Watch how much room he had. He walked all the way in, and instead of taking that shot on net, he looked for the man instead. He found Bozak, and Bozak just deflected that pass right into the net. Past Griza.
Bozak gets the goal from Lidster and Fleury at 2:55, and Canada is up by a score of 1-0. Canada's first shot of the period in 12th of the game. Here's Sakic up there, gets it loose to Thomas. Thomas couldn't get it back to him. Zemlika drops it back. Rosal with a shot. Up around the boards, kept in. Musil. Zemlika. Musil in front, can't shoot it. That's ripped, and Billington will hang on to it after Yuri Slager leaned into one from just inside the line.
We're going to see a lot more of Yuri Slager in the years to come. He's owned by the Vancouver Canucks. They drafted him in the 3rd round. Couldn't come to contract agreements with him last year, though. Bozak was added to this hockey club for his ability to kill penalties especially, and he's come up with a very important goal for Canada in this game.
Here's Belk being watched by Sakic. Belk for the Czechs, just clearing it in. And Billington plays it on the one-hopper like a good shortstop and hangs on. Look at the Team Canada bench, and you see that Sean Burke is not on the bench. And that reminds me that I promised Sean I would say hello to his fiancée Leslie back in Red Deer, as well as his dad Ron watching back in Toronto.
And I told him he was just
too cheap
to buy a stamp.
Or spend the money on a long-distance phone.
That's, we owe it to him. He came up and was in the broadcast booth with us this past week.
Played 3:44 of this second period. You're watching the World Hockey Championship on TSN. I'm Paul Romanuk with Gary Green, Jim Van Horn, and Rick Tocchet watching back at our control center. And we will have complete coverage of the medal round, all of Canada's games, including the gold medal game, regardless of whether or not Canada qualifies for that game. At the line, Brainick gets it in front of the net, knocked away, deftly moved out by Canada to Fleury. Ronning going for the net. Linden centers it in front. Trying to keep it in. McCowan back at the line. Hangs tough. Medrick in around back of his own net. Reznicek up around the boards for Volk. Here's Yanni. Spins away, gets it to Ronning. Yanni moves up. And Brainick back to pick it up. Reznicek for Brainick. Gathering speed up to center. Comes in with Reichel. Offside called on the Czechoslovakians. We played 4:48 of the second period. Canada up by a goal.
My staff is very good.
No getting around it. Service is definitely a hands-on business. That is my job, to provide that personal touch.
I think our customers appreciate the good service we give them.
At Esso, we use independent customer surveys to set our high standards of service excellence.
Esso has standards, and I have standards. It's more than a job, really. It's a matter of pride. It's not what you do, it's how you do it.
You're on your way with Esso.
Bozak shoveling it in for Team Canada. He's got the goal for Team Canada. And the Canucks with a 1-0 lead. Looked as though Russell tripped over the blue line there. Racine heading back, and offside pass called on the Czechoslovakians.
Fans aren't too into this game today, and it's understandable. I think they're mostly Finnish fans that are here, having purchased tickets when they weren't sure how much this game had really meant to either of these teams, but at the same time probably feeling very, very depressed after having watched that Finnish game this afternoon and the Finns losing to Team USA.
Well, I don't know if it was quite 1972 or anything, but it was certainly a dramatic moment for the Finns. Their country hosting the World Hockey Championship. Everybody crowded around televisions all over the country watching that big game between Finland and the U.S. And Finland losing. They do not qualify for medal round play. The U.S. beating them out for that final spot. Lidster for Team Canada trying to move it out. Robert Holik up to knock it down. In front, Lubin is there, waiting for a rebound, but Volek can't deliver the payload on net. Canada able to break out. Here comes Fleury. Battling it over the line with Musil. He is knocked down. And that is going to be the first penalty call of the game.
František Musil on Theoren Fleury. Now, you think they've done that a few times? Yes, they've done it a few times when Musil was playing for Minnesota. And Fleury, of course, for Calgary, but they've probably done it more recently just in practice. Having been traded to the Calgary Flames, having put his teammate, but not during this World Championship, his teammate, Theoren Fleury, down in the ice pretty hard. And Musil, no stranger either, Paul, for the penalty box. 183 penalty minutes this season in the NHL for František Musil.
5 seasons in the NHL, most of them with Minnesota. As you mentioned, Gary traded to the Calgary Flames this season. So the Czechoslovaks getting all set to kill off this Team Canada power play chance. Here comes Yanni. Up there with Thomas and Sakic. Yanni clears it in, and here comes Sakic. Lesnicek gets there first, can't get it out though. Yanni back at the line with McCowan. Here's McCowan now. Shoots. And that is tipped up into the mesh, and we'll get a stoppage. Team Canada still with 1:33 to go on the man advantage.
Peter Briza just played that one game at Bern last year in the World Championships, the 5-3 loss to the Canadians. At 26 years of age, Briza's apt to see a lot more play for this Czechoslovakian national team in years to come.
He hasn't played badly. Goals against average through 6 games in the tournament, 2.67. The problem for the Czechoslovaks has been scoring. And they continue to struggle with that in this game, being shut out so far. Larmer for Team Canada. Tucking it in. Here's Thomas now. Back to Larmer. Racine shoots. Pulled down. Brija will keep it in play. Powered up around the boards by Sherban. He gets it out. 1 minute and 10 seconds to go on the power play for Canada. Canada leading the Czechoslovakians 1-0. Lidster. To Thomas. Larmer heads in. Sakic up there too. You see him poking at it, trying to get it loose. Back out to the line. Here's Lidster. Racine. Here's Thomas. Sakic. Racine. Lidster. Racine again. Here's Sakic now. Lidster shoots wide. Rebound comes out. Tap to the board. Schmelik gets it out. 20 seconds left in the Canadian power play. But Canada almost looked like a European team there, Gary, the way they threw the puck around and didn't shoot.
Lots of open ice, though, Paul, because the Czechoslovakian team are sitting back in their defensive positioning, killing this penalty off and playing a very small box in front of Peter Brise.
Trevor Linden with a head of steam, swings in, Ronning's up there too. Penalized player back on, the team's at even strength. Canada up 1-0, here comes Bollock. Fades and drops back, Lubina can't keep it in at the line. Offside called on the Czechoslovaks. Played 8 minutes and 12 seconds in the second period, and Canada with a 1-0 lead based on Steve Bozak's goal, 2:55.
I thought he was going over to call a penalty. Wasn't quite sure of why, because I didn't see an infraction taking place out in the ice. But there is a penalty. Too many men on the ice. Penalty going to Czechoslovakia.
So the players and the referee get it all straightened out. Lubina draws the short straw. He will serve the penalty. And Canada with another chance in the power play, going 0 for 1 with the man advantage. The power play for Team Canada in the tournament has been less than awe-inspiring, ranked 7th heading into this game. That's 7 out of 8. Here's Courtnall. Up for Yanni. Ronning is trailing. They'll set up shop now. Yanni. Linden back at the point, taking Yanni's place. Now they'll switch up. Yanni back to his proper place at the line. Here's Courtnall for Yanni. Shoots. Brise the save. Rebound. Hopping towards the goal line, but Brise cuts it off.
He got a piece of it, and he almost let it get by right over that goal line. Peter Brise was quick to turn around, and then he saw that puck was indeed heading over or on its way to the goal line. He jumped back. He was fortunate the way that he jumped back, Paul, that he didn't push that puck in himself. Watch. Well, he was a little bit further away from the goal line than from the angle that we could see it from here in the broadcast booth, behind the net angle, so that he may have had another good 8 inches to spare.
Jamie McCowan back at the point with Lidster. Gets it in front. Sakic there was trying to gain some more real estate. Couldn't get possession of the puck, though. Gopal along the boards. Sakic jabbing away. The double team, Sakic and Fleury both jabbing in the puck. Here's Larmer in to pick it up, and it's pulled away. And the Czechoslovaks can breathe a bit of a sigh of relief. They at least clear the zone. 53 seconds left in the power play for Team Canada. Here's Larmer. Brise drops it off. Reznicek up around the board, can't get it out. 40 seconds left in the power play for Canada. Sakic gets it loose to Larmer. Back to Sakic. Here's Fleury. Larmer's in the slot. Here's McCowan, shoots. That it ricochets off a leg. Here's Fleury again. To Lidster. Fleury shoots. Kicked away by Brise. Followed the puck well and stayed right with it. Here's Sakic now. 15 seconds left in the power play. Fleury. Larmer now. Sakic gets to the slot but can't land the shot. Penalized player is back on. And Canada 0 for 2 on the power play.
Again, had plenty of time to set up, but they just couldn't find that opportunity to get into the slot and get a good shot away.
Kuchera's up there trying to jab it loose. Volk as well. McCowan for Canada trying to clear it. Schmelik along the boards for Czechoslovakia, keeps it in. Billington keeps the puck in play. Archibald after it. Here's Sherban. Archibald intercepts, trying to move in, and Brise takes matters into his own hands and knocks it away. And here comes Barenek back in. Shoots. That is blockered away by Billington. Volk down into the corner. Kuchera trying to fandangle his way into the slot. It's pulled away. Here comes Smith back now. Drops it through. Conroy shoots, and Brise coming across, got enough of it.
Breeze's playing with a great deal of confidence. He's even coming a long ways out of his net to cut down that angle.
Volk with a shot. That's tipped wide. Smith gobbling it up for Team Canada. Kept in at the line. Musil with a shot. Tipped in the way. Knocked down. Didn't get towards the goal. Schlegel throwing it out to center. Here comes Bozak. Gets in there. Bozak waiting. Trying to center it in front. Smith picks it up now. Dancing around back at the goal, losing his balance and the puck. And here come the Czechs.
Schmelik sure looked bad for the Czechoslovakian team on defense on that play by Bozak.
Musil scores. The Czechoslovaks tie it up. Musil gets it.
So right after Canada had a good opportunity, after Bozak had beat Schmelik, but then wasn't able to get a good shot away, František Musil walked right down the middle of the ice in Canada's zone and just hammered that puck. Look how far that Billington came out to cut down that angle. He was 10 feet out of his crease, but there was a little bit of room left for František Musil.
Musil gets the goal. Berenik and Delage will pick up the assist at 11:47. So the Czechoslovaks coming out of 2 Canadian power plays, none the worse for wear, and coming back to tie this game up. Rosal moving it out to center. Musil up to Reichel, shooting! Billington out to cut down the angle. Yanni gloving the rebound down on the corner. Up to Trevor Linden. Linden getting adventurous down in front of Billington, almost lost the puck. Here comes Ronning, back in, Courtnall's in front, scores! Ronning, and it's 2-1.
Canada regains the momentum. After František Musil scored, nice little move by Ronning. Look at the way that in the neutral zone he retrieved that puck. He had Courtnall with him, 2-on-1, and he was very confident that he could score. He knew exactly how much room he had past Peter Briza. Briza, you could see, was hugging that post pretty good as far as his angle was concerned. Left room on the glove side.
Linden gets the assist at 12:29. And Canada back in front 2-1. But here's Volek, centers it in front, and Billington, well, hang on. Ronning and Bozak scoring for Canada. Musil for Czechoslovakia.
Out of the pack, head for the clean, crisp, ice-cold taste that says genuine Bud. And from one Bud man to another, this Bud's for you.
I'm Paul Romanek with Gary Green, Jim Van Horn, and Rick Tockett watching the action back at our TSN Control Center. Lubina up there for Czechoslovakia, just fired it wide. He's after it again. He's got it. Lubina, Billington, a big stop. Larmer back up for Canada. Here's Litzner back for Larmer. And the Czechoslovakians come back. Volek shoots. Billington, another stop. Larmer knifing it out. Here comes Sakic. Scores!
What a nice backhand.
Sakic puts Canada up 3-1.
Sakic was allowed a little bit extra room in the slot. He used the backhand, but it helped that his teammates, his line mates, went for the net. Thomas got dumped on his way there, but at the same time, it may have distracted Peter Briza. Watch Sakic. He thought about bringing that puck over to his forehand side, but because he was being checked from behind at the time, he decided just to release that puck as quickly as he then could. It worked.
Larmer and Conroy get the assist at 13:47. Canada with a couple of goals inside of just over a minute, inside of 2 minutes. And things really starting to open up there.
But that could be a dangerous word, too, for Dave King.
Zemlika in over the blue line with Polnick. Zemlika going for the net, almost took the return pass, just pulled away. Just before that goal that Sakic scored, Craig Billington made a couple of big stops.
Yes, he did.
Zemlika back in, trying to get in front for Topo. Zemlika still. Schlager spins away from Bozak, tried to center, it just went off an arm. Here's Kolnick, shoots. That was through a crowd down in front of Craig Billington. Busil pokes it around back of the Canadian net. Played 14 minutes and 54 seconds in the second period, and Canada leading Czechoslovakia 3-1. The final game for both of these teams of the preliminary round of the World Hockey Championship. Gold medal round up next. Here's Kuchera, works it in. Vogt back of the net. Can't come up with it. Ronning. Here's Courtnall. Trying to shake off the checking of Branek. Yanni. Being pressured back there by Kuchera. Vogt. Up ahead. Almost sprung Kuchera. He'll go after it now down into the corner. Kuchera bumping with Yanni. This is Randy Smith, back for Canada. Branek now with it for Czechoslovakia. Reznicek. Kuchera. Reznicek shoots. Billington the save. Kuchera back of the net, centers it across in front. Volk couldn't get his bearing straight. Didn't see the pass. Reznicek now. Watched by McCowan. Branek. Courtnall breaking that up. Just gets it outside the blue line. A bit of a respite for the Canadian defense. Reichel. Bullock. All the way back. Russell shoots off the post, scores. Dolajo. It's 3-2.
Russell couldn't put that puck in, but Dolajo does, simply because, well, it was laying there and no one else was taking a whack at it. So Dolajo decided that he might. Billington came out, cut down the angle, got a piece of it, but then that loose puck was there. Jamie McCowan could not get to it in time. Jamie McCowan was coming from behind the net, and that's one mistake that defenseman hates to make. You get caught behind that net, you're pretty useless when all of a sudden you see the puck laying in the crease. You can't go through the net. You've got to take that extra second to go around. Second too long in this case.
Well, they give the assist to Russell and Reichel at 16:36. Canada is still up by a score of 3-2. Here's Reichel. Dolajo couldn't get it in front. Russell goes after it. Russell still. Dolajo's in front. They get it to him. Scores.
Right out of the air. Again by Dolajo. Good hand-eye coordination. He just batted that puck right out of the air, but way below the shoulder height. Canada got caught chasing, Paul.
Well, there was a faint bit of protest that it was maybe a high stick, but the Team Canada players didn't keep that up for long. There's no way that it was.
There's the chase, though. You can see that Yves Racine left his post in front of the net. Just a cardinal sin when it comes to playing international hockey, the amount of room there is behind that net. Racine chased and put himself and the team at a disadvantage.
40 seconds coming between the Czechoslovak goals, and the same triumvirate in on both. Dolazio scoring both times, Rosso and Reichel with the assists both times. And Czechoslovakia has tied it up at 3 against Team Canada. Canada had a 3-1 lead at about the 14-minute mark of this second period. Where has that gone? Pollock.
Right where it will always go if you let the Czechoslovaks all of a sudden gain the momentum, have possession of the puck, and keep possession of the puck. They start playing a game of keep away, you're in trouble.
Well, you called it. When things started to open up, I commented on the fact that they were opening up, and you said, I don't know if that's very good for Team Canada. It hasn't been. The Czechs have scored a couple of quick goals and have tied this game up.
You're up. You're 3 for 3. And you've got the most feared Eastern bat of all. So you figure you'll get his best pitch. The high, hard one. But what if it's a curve or a changeup? No sweat. Everybody knows there's no known defense against an Eastern, right? Wrong.
21. Trevor Linden for Team Canada. It was Yanni sneaking in from the blue line. Zemlika. Randy Smith steals it from him. Smith to Ronning. Ronning centers it. Linden couldn't get there quickly enough for Team Canada. Linden's got it now, though. Smith in front, dancing through the slot, but couldn't convert on the pass. Yanni back of the net for Ronning. Ronning still. Zemlika moves it up around the boards. Medrick moving it up ahead. Kolnick looking for it. Less than a minute to go in the period. Canada and Czechoslovakia tied at 3. Zemlika down on the corner. Looking, shoots. McCowan almost tipped it towards the goal. Kolnick took a swipe at it, but Linden comes back for Canada. Here's Sakic. Thomas breaks for the net. Linden for Thomas in front. Can't get the shot away. .32 seconds to play in the period, and the faceoff coming back into the Czechoslovak zone.
Thanks to Craig Billington, this game is still a tie, because you think back when Canada had that 3-1 lead, Paul, they were playing better offensively, but at the same time Billington had made a couple of key saves in order to give them that opportunity.
The Czechoslovaks with 32 shots on goal and counting. Look at Sakic. Couldn't get it in front, though. Here's Steve Thomas. Centers it. Bouncing puck, and Larmer couldn't convert. Czechoslovaks come back. In front. Shanaban off the iron. Rebound in front. Lidster just drops on it. Another chance. Barinik with a shot. That's blocked. 5 seconds left.
Oh, no.
Canada not ending this second period on a good note.
3-3 is the score after a couple of periods. Bozak, Ronning, and Sakic scoring for Team Canada. Musil and Dolazio with the goals for Czechoslovakia. Dolazio has a pair for the Czechoslovak. It's 3-3. Our second intermission is on deck, and here's Jim Van Horn.
Thanks, Paul. Looking ahead to the next 15 minutes, we will look at international goaltending. Rick Tocchet will join us, and we'll talk about that second period of play. We'll also hear from Bob McKenzie in the state of hockey in Czechoslovakia, and Paul and Gary have their views on the second period that was full of goal scoring. 3-3, Canada and Czechoslovakia after 40 minutes of play. We'll be back after this.
Sunday, TSN's extensive hockey coverage continues with Canada taking on Czechoslovakia at the World Hockey Championship. Then buckle up for some high-speed oval racing from Martinsville, Virginia. It's NASCAR's Haynes 500. And then we go back to the rink for some exciting midget hockey. The best teams in the country compete for the Air Canada Cup. The World Hockey Championship, NASCAR's Haynes 500, and the Air Canada Cup. Sunday on TSN.
Placido Domingo, the world's most popular tenor, sings an album of the world's most beautiful love songs. Now, all of these cherished songs are captured on a new album from Capitol Records. Placido Domingo, Be My Love. 16 immortal love songs, including Love Story, Somewhere My Love, and Spanish Eyes. Placido Domingo, Be My Love. A treasury of love songs you'll cherish for years to come. On double-length cassette, $14.95. Compact disc, $19.95. Stand by to order.
Call toll-free 1-800-473-4123 or send check or money order for $14.95 for double-length cassette, $19.95 for one compact disc, plus $4 shipping to Placido Domingo, P.O. Box 600, Station R, Toronto, Ontario.
Honey, I know we're on a low cholesterol kick, but if I eat much more salad, I'll turn into a rabbit.
Well, how about a McCain pizza? It's okay. It's a McCain Tender Crisp. And it's low cholesterol.
Low cholesterol pizza.
It says so right on the box.
Low cholesterol pizza. Great idea.
Great pizza, too.
McCain Tender Crisp in individual and family sizes. Low cholesterol, too.
Because man cannot live by salad alone.
Looking ahead to the medal round that gets underway on Tuesday, Canada will face Sweden in their first game. That game will be seen live on TSN starting at 11:55 Eastern Time. That's 11:55 a.m. Be sure to join us. First medal round game, Canada and Sweden live on TSN. After an 80-game schedule, most skaters in the NHL have a great deal of difficulty adjusting to the international ice-size rinks over in Europe. But not only skaters have difficulty, goaltenders as well, and they have to make some major adjustments.
Big rink, small rink. The theory is the same. Good goaltending, you win, and bad, you lose.
Yeah, it's a pressure position. There's no question there. I think there's something special about all goalies. Because we're the last line of defense, obviously our mistakes are not hidden very well. So we're there, and we're counted on by our teammates. And I think that makes us a little special.
For Mike Vernon, it's been a matter of adjusting to the big ice.
The one thing you can't commit yourself. They'll pass it around you. The Russians and all the European hockey clubs, they like the tic-tac-toe play, so you have to stay in your net. You can't commit yourself too early. It poses a problem when the ice surface is so wide that you have to take an extra stride, sort of, or an extra little push to get across to maybe get your angle. And it's a tough adjustment to start, but you know, I think once you get into it, I think it's very comfortable.
The style of hockey played here is as foreign to most of these players as the language being spoken, although there is a definite European influence to be found with some NHL teams.
Probably us in New Jersey, to be honest. I mean, we had a lot of European players, and our style was, you know, pretty free-flowing at times. Other than that, I'd say, you know, Edmonton plays like that. They really like to wind it up. You know, they start with all 5 men on the attack, and you know, that's basically what it is over here. Is it's not a lot of, you know, one-on-one attack. It's 5 guys coming up the ice, and that's what makes it much tougher to defend against.
Sean Burke is the most experienced of the 3 goaltenders in terms of international play. The adjustment isn't so great for him. It's more a matter of regaining his confidence from a tough season in New Jersey.
Well, I think the biggest thing is just playing. You know, anytime you're playing a lot and you know you're going to be out there regularly, it's easier to play confident. And, you know, in New Jersey, there's times I went 7-8 games in a row without playing. And, you know, it's tough. You get in there for a game and you feel that if you don't win, you're not going to be back in again. But over here, it's been great. It's been fun. You know, we've got a good bunch of guys here. And, you know, you want to end the season on a good note. And I think that's what everybody has in mind. You want to have a good tournament and go home for the summer feeling good.
If only there was an easy way to exercise. Stop. Introducing Walk and Roll from Telexpress. Now you can walk, Walk to a fitter, trimmer, healthier you. Exercise the feet and ankles. Firm and shape your calves. Slim and tone your thighs. Define the hips. Tighten and shape the buttocks. Rediscover that waistline and flatten the tummy. 18 padded rollers. 6 white indicate walking zone. Extended black rollers for rollback. All cushion impact. For a leisurely stroll or a brisk walk. Great for a jog, speed walking, or a run. Fully assembled and satisfaction guaranteed. Order Walk and Roll today on this exclusive TelExpress offer and get fit for 3 easy payments of $43. Just put one foot in front of the other and walk and roll.
Don't send any money. Just call 1-800-541-6667. We'll bill your credit card 3 monthly payments of only $43 plus shipping and handling. Just 3 monthly payments. So call 1-800-541-6667 now.
Steve Bozek started the scoring for Team Canada 3 minutes into the second period. Yuri Delajul, with his second of the game, finished it at 17-16, and we have a 3-all tie between Canada and Czechoslovakia through 2 periods of play. Rick Tocchet joins us once again. Strange period. Goals came in clusters. Looked like Canada was playing very disciplined hockey, and then they got sloppy and allowed the Czechoslovaks to get back into it.
Way too many shots. They can't afford to let those many shots in the middle round, or they're going to get beat. They're going to have to tighten up defensively. Despite allowing 3 goals, I've been impressed with the play of Craig Billington today. He's played well for Canada. He's faced over 30 shots, and he's played really well for a guy who hasn't played much over there. Canada's goaltending is once again playing really well for him. We talked about the pride that Czechoslovakia would have in beating Canada and how important it would be for them to end this preliminary round-robin segment with a victory. And certainly they showed in the second period that they definitely want to win today. Yeah, just watch them today. They really want to win. It's disturbing that they haven't done well in the tournament. They've got some good young players, and they're playing that North American style as we were talking about. It's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do over in the Canada Cup. Yes, it certainly is. They've taken an awful lot of heat for their performance at the World Championships so far. They decided to go with a veteran lineup, as you heard Gary Green refer to. Let's go to Bob McKenzie now and get some information on the status of hockey in Czechoslovakia.
Thanks very much, Jim. NHL President John Ziegler has been in Finland for the past week, and one of the specific reasons that Ziegler went there was to negotiate a new deal with the Czechoslovakian Ice Hockey Federation so they can determine flat rates for players that leave Czechoslovakia and come and play in the National Hockey League. However, the information I have is that he was unable to come to an agreement with the Czechs. The Czechs are definitely starved for cash. This is an economy going through a real crisis. A pair of skates over there cost $400. And for some people, that's an entire year's wages. It gives you some idea of the problems they've got. Yet they want more from the National Hockey League. The NHL, however, kind of feels they have the Czechs over a barrel because they do need the money so badly and will probably let their offer stand on the table until the Czechs accept it. The subplot to all this gets very interesting. Czechoslovakian clubs in the Elite League over there are wanted to put on an all-star game featuring NHL Czech players versus Czech players playing in European leagues and those also playing in Czechoslovakia. It just generated a huge amount of interest in Czechoslovakia and was supposed to be played in a 3-day period immediately following these World Championships. However, NHL President John Ziegler has refused to allow NHL players to participate in this tournament. It's causing a lot of bitter feelings in Czechoslovakia. The club owners there who hold the contracts and ultimately the fate of any Czech player who wants to come to the NHL or for that matter the Canada Cup would really like to strike back at the NHL, but it is a catch-22 situation. They have no money. If they don't give releases, they're not going to get any money, and without the money, the programs just don't go on. So I think you can look at some point for the situation to be resolved, but the Czechs won't be too happy about it. Thank you very much, Bob. Rick, what are your thoughts about European players coming over to Canada or to North America to play in the NHL? I think it's great. It obviously picks up the level of the play, but the money that we're giving their federations, hundreds, $200,000 for one player, I don't agree. We could use it in our federation. To develop the younger players? Definitely. All right, Rick, thank you very much. We'll take a break and come back with more from Finland. Paul and Gary standing by with their observations of the second period of play. Stay tuned. Canada and Czechoslovakia tied 3-all after 2 at the World Championships in Finland.
stomach troubles. They can blow in like an ocean storm, bringing heartburn, or upset stomach, or even diarrhea. That's why you should always have Pepto-Bismol on board. Pepto's special triple-action coating formula goes to work quickly to cool heartburn, calm upset stomach, and relieve diarrhea with a layer of effective soothing pink medication. Pepto-Bismol's triple-action coating formula turns tummy troubles into smooth sailing.
The hottest new album of the decade is burning up the airwaves. This is Guitar Rock, a giant 40-song collection. Guitar Rock, all original hits by the original stars on 2 double-length cassettes, $24.95. 2 compact discs, $29.95. Nothing rocks harder or louder. Have your credit cards ready. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-433-6900 or send $24.95 for 2 cassettes or $29.95 for 2 compact discs plus $4 shipping and handling to Guitar Rock, P.O. Box 600, Station R, Toronto, Ontario.
Regardless of the outcome of today's game, Canada is guaranteed of a position in the medal round. They are preparing to face Sweden on Tuesday. Let's take you back to Finland now for more on the second period. Gary Green standing by with a guest, Doug Risebrough. Gary?
Doug, you've just arrived. Welcome to Finland, first of all, and you're not here to really to scout new talent.
No, there's, I think, a little bit to see how some of the guys perform at this level, and certainly to see what other teams have. There isn't a lot of players out there that aren't exposed, available, but certainly some, and it's a good chance to see what other teams have.
Now, during your years as a player, you never really had an opportunity to play for a World Championship team for Team Canada. You were always in playoffs. What do you think, though, just after seeing what you've seen so far, about the opportunities for the players to come over here and play in this tournament?
Well, I think it's a good opportunity. You know, it gives them a chance to see another element of hockey, certainly to appreciate maybe their own hockey a little bit more, and certainly to play at a level of high speed and skill and great awareness. So it's an opportunity. It's hockey.
What do you think as far as the bigger ice surface and the players having to read the play rather than just playing with intensity?
Well, I think that's the big thing, that you can't, you know, you're going to chase around here. You're going to get caught if you chase too far, and so you got to really play the man or in a situation of a tight zone. And if you get a chance, certainly to expose yourself to skate in it. It's a good game in that sense, and I think that's what we're looking at.
Thanks, Doug. And we might need Rick Tocchet to help us out here. We're going to kind of getting involved in some body contact ourselves, but the team's ready to come on the ice now. Let's go to Jim Van Horn and Rick Tocchet.
Thank you very much, Gary. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll have third period action for you from Tampere, Finland, where Canada and Czechoslovakia are tied at 3 through 2 periods of play.
The Blue Jays are back, and this year they look better than ever. And if you're a Jays fan, then don't miss the excitement of this year's 1991 Blue Jays collection, available for only $26.95. This limited collection includes 2 superb publications, plus the 1991 Blue Jays video. Just call 1-800-847-6300, and you'll receive the official Blue Jays spring training issue, featuring many of the current and future Jays stars. You'll get the inside story on the team's dramatic offseason changes. The collection also includes this 200-page edition of Opening Day Scorebook magazine, with a look at the Jays' new leader, Joe Carter, and much, much more. This book is a must for anyone planning to follow the Jays on their quest for the pennant. This Super Blue Jays collection also includes the official 1991 Blue Jays video, with a look back at all the greatest moments and plays, including Steve's memorable no-hitter. This complete collection is available now for only $26.95 plus shipping and handling. Just call 1-800-847-6300 and use your Visa, MasterCard, or American Express. Join the Blue Jays as they set their sights on the 1991 World Series.
Yuri Delajil has 2 goals for Czechoslovakia. They are now tied with Canada at 3. Third period set to get underway. Here's Paul Romanek and Gary Green.
Canada and Czechoslovakia tied at 3. Third period action underway. And when the puck does make its way down into the Canadian zone, you'll notice a goaltending change. Mike Vernon in net for Team Canada. And they try to support him early. Larmer working it loose for Thomas, pulled away. Back come the Czechoslovaks. Blahnik steps in over the line, and Vernon stop that. Welcome to the game. Schlegel takes a whiff at it. That's knocked away. Mike Bernard in for Team Canada to replace Craig Billington. Here's Berenik rolling it in front, knocked away.
And that has nothing to do with the play of Craig Billington. He played very well the first 2 periods.
Here's Thomas looking in front. He had Sakic there, couldn't get it to him. Here come the Czechoslovaks. Kuchera steps in. He's got some steam. Knocked down. Yanni tries to clear it away. Larmer will do the honors.
That was the game plan coming in tonight, folks, is that Dave King wanted to get Mike Vernon some work as well.
Vernon coming into the game with a 5.53 goals against average. He played most of the game against the Soviets. Craig Billington came on late in that one in relief and did a very good job, as he did for the first couple of periods of this game. Ronning to Linden. Courtnall jams at it. It's knocked away. And here come the Czechoslovaks. This is Reichel wheeling in with Dolazul scores.
What a game Dolazul's having. But Canada get caught forcing again. And when you do that against any good European team, the Czechoslovakians are just the same. They will pick you apart. 2-on-1. You can see Canada's 2 back checkers coming back, but not in time. Vernon positioned himself way out initially to the right in order to cut down the angle. He must have thought that the shot was going to be coming from there, because he didn't allow himself much of an opportunity to get back and recover for the pass. In that pass game, Dolazul had lots of room to be able to put it in behind Vernon.
Well, I think I see Dave King getting a net out down behind the Canadian bench to throw over top of that Czechoslovak line of Dolazul, Reichel, and Rosal. They have scored the last 3 goals for the Czechs. In front, Bozak took a jab at it. It's knocked away. Bolek shoots. Vernon the stop. Big rebound. Picked up now by Hollick. Archibald trying to check him. Here's Yves Racine. Dolazul with the goal, Reichel and Rosa with the assist. That has been the scoring play for the last 3 Czechoslovak goals. They lead 4-3. But here comes Fleury. Bozak breaking. Can't get to it. It's poked away by Brija. Here's Hollick. Musil. Hey, moving! Kolnick just off the bench. Couldn't step into it. Schmelik now, and Canada gets caught at the line on the offside. We played 2:23 of the 3rd period. The Czechoslovaks coming back with 3 unanswered goals, and they lead Canada 4-3.
3 goals by Dolazul in 4 minutes and 44 seconds.
Thank you very much. As I said, Dave King might want to throw a net over that line because they've been filling the Canadian net.
Dolazul was the captain at Bern last year for the Czechoslovakian team. He had 5 goals in those 10 games.
You real international aficionados may remember Dolazul on a big line with Sparta Prague in the Czech League. He played with Bolek and Hrdina. That was a lethal combination. Here's Thomas. In front, Sakic with a weak shot and couldn't deliver the payload. Musil forging his way out to center. Schlegel down in the corner. Topol trying to tie him up. Kolnick up there as well. Sakic almost sneaking away there at center. Chemlika. Larmer gets a hold of him, but that's fine because Kolnick is there to clean up for the Czechs. Gets it in over the line. Here comes Team Canada back. 3-on-2. Ronning. Larmer. Gets it across in front. It's blocked.
That's exactly what Canada have got to do. They've got to be patient in the neutral zone. They'll get their scoring opportunities. But if they try to force, they'll end up getting caught and allowing more scoring opportunities for the Czechoslovakians.
Here's Ronning, gets it through, and offside is called. Linden was bursting through the middle there. Played 3:36 in this 3rd period. It's 4-3 for the Czechoslovaks. I'm Paul Romanek with Gary Green with the World Hockey Championship in Finland.
For players like Trevor Linden, that's what I was talking to Doug Riesborough about. It's a great opportunity. Trevor Linden has to read the play in this big ice surface. He's a big, strong man that has shown great promise to add to his skill level. At 20 years of age, he's definitely going to do lots more of that. What a bright spot for the Vancouver Canucks.
And again, I point out 20 years of age, and he's got 3 seasons under his belt in the NHL. Here's Ronning. who has just been excelling on this big ice surface, as he excelled with the Canucks down the stretch and into the playoffs. Up there with his Vancouver teammates, Linden and Courtnall. What a line this has been. Here's Ronning. Here's Courtnall. Shoots just wide. Kuchera back now for the Czechs. Steps in. Volk going for the net. Can't get the rebound, but Anik fired it wide.
Mike Vernon's got to have a great third period if he wants to see any medal round competition, because he didn't play very well, even to his own admission, against the Soviets.
Here comes Rosel. This big line again for the Czechoslovaks, right in front of the net, and Reichel just missed putting it away. What an explosive combination Dolazhel, Reichel, and Rosel have been for the Czechoslovaks in this game. 3 goals in a row, all of them by Dolazhel. And they almost got another one there. Here comes Bozak. Archibald right in front of the net, and Brija will grab it and hang on. We played 4:58 of this third period. Canada down by a goal.
There are 2 kinds of people in the world. Those who want to know.
Harvey, these light delight dinners give us their cholesterol and fat levels.
And those who don't.
Delicious.
To those who want to know.
It's right here on the front,
Light Delight puts it out front.
where we can see them.
For those who don't want to know, Light Delight simply tastes better than ever. McCain Light Delight. The information's on the outside. The taste is on the inside.
I'm Paul Romanek with Gary Green, Jim Van Horn, and Rick Tocchet watching back at our TSN Control Center. Exclusive coverage of the 1991 World Hockey Championship. It's Canada and Czechoslovakia. Final game of round-robin competition. The medal round set to get started. We'll have all the action for you here on TSN this coming week. Bozak along the boards, can't come up with it. Pollock up with Slager and Volek. Offside called on the Czechoslovaks.
The line of Dosel, Rosel, and Reichel have taken over where Reichel, Pollock, and Yager left off from last year.
That could almost be it. Dosel, Rosel, and
That's a little tough to say, isn't it, too, Paul?
I'll let you take care of that.
But Reichel, Pollock, and Yager last year accounted for almost 40% of Czechoslovakia's goals at the World Championship in Switzerland. But of course, Jaromir Jagr is doing something else this year in hockey competition. Moving on to the next round. Waiting to see who the competitors will be. The Pittsburgh Penguins are resting.
Here's Thomas, wheeling and dealing up there. Brija kicks it away. Brija has not given up a goal since 13:47 of the second period. He's faced 21 shots in this game from Team Canada. Sakic after down in the corner. Zemlika comes up with it for the Czechoslovaks, gives it away. Here's Smith going for the front of the net. Smith trying to get loose. Meanwhile, Sakic biding some time in the corner. Back of the net now. Couldn't get it to Smith. Topol. Kolnick with a shot. Not much on it. Bounces dangerously through the slot. Finally, it's corralled in the corner. Smith. Just getting it down the ice. We played 6.5 minutes of this third period. Czechoslovakia leading Canada 4-3. Canada had a 3-1 lead at one time and have blown it.
You always have to be so careful with line changes in this big ice surface. It's a long ways over to the right wing board side right now for right defensemen and right wingers for Team Canada.
Linden is in away offside. That's why Ronning is hesitating at the blue line. Linden back onside, and Ronning sees him and gets it to him. Ronning up ahead for Racine, just missed him. Courtnall up there to forecheck for Team Canada. Digs it loose, in front, Linden's there, can't get the shot away, nor could Ronning. Lidster having to contend now, battling down in the corner with Topol. Here's Racine. Kuchera up there to forecheck. Ronning to Courtnall. Here's Linden now. Nobody was open for him. Dolazhel up to the line, off the skate of Reichel. Back comes Team Canada. Fleury. Bozak going for the net. And Fleury losing his balance and the puck along the boards, and that'll do it for that rush. Here comes Bozak. Got some room. Archibald can't get the shot away. Upended as he goes into the boards. Musil chopped him down.
Archibald hesitated. He should have just thrown that puck right to the net. He had two teammates that were headed in that direction.
Russell moves it up ahead. Dolajal, he's got 3 already, and he's parked off to the side of the net. Reichel shoots right through the slot, and Dolajal almost had number 4. Schlager. Reznicek clears it in.
Team Canada's transition from offense to defense has to be very quick.
Well, next action for Team Canada in the medal round, and it will be against Team Sweden. And you can see exclusive coverage here on TSN starting at 11:55 a.m. Eastern Time. That game coming your way on Tuesday.
Now Canada's chances right now of trying to get back aren't going to be any better, as they're going to have to kill this penalty off of Theron Fleury, who's picked up 2 minutes for slashing.
That is the first penalty that Team Canada has picked up in this game, by the way. When is the last time you saw Canada play an international game and go without taking a penalty until halfway through the 3rd period?
It's quite a project.
Here's Hollick. Czechs will work it around, teeing it up for the shot. There's the drive. Vernon stops it, and Sakic right on top of the rebound.
With this large ice surface, Canada does the same thing as that other teams do. They revert to playing a good, disciplined, small box back in front. Right now with Mike Vernon, waiting for their opportunity to be aggressive.
Bullock along the boards. 1:15 to go on the power play. Pollock looking for Volek. Nobody in the slot per se. Czechs working around the perimeter. Smelik can't get the shot away. Volek shoots. That's wide. We saw Hollick there in front trying to tip it before he was upended. Here's Hollick with it now. Volek is in front. Hollick still. Shoots. And Vernon got enough of it to send it up into the meshing and get a stoppage.
The only time you'll see them go into the slot or in front of Vernon is when they're ready to shoot from the point. They didn't used to do. They've adjusted their game through many years of international competition to that point, or they'll wait to try and get that short pass coming into the slot. There's the opportunity from the point, and you can see that that's when David Volek, who's accustomed to doing that anyway, playing in the National Hockey League with the New York Islanders, just got in front of Vernon. Tried to anyway.
Must be a real treat for the goaltenders in one sense, Gary, not to have somebody right in their face during a power play.
But you heard Sean Burke say, though, that there is a difference in playing goal in the National Hockey League and in international play. You've got to get back into your net a little bit more than you're accustomed to.
Dolajal pirouetting towards the boards. Still with it, 25 seconds left in the Czechoslovak power play. Dolajal back to the line. Schlager works it in. Blasted right on by Reichel, and Vernon comes up big. 10 seconds left in the power play. Team Canada having a heck of a time clearing the zone. Finally, McCowan gets it out.
At the same time, Bozak was gambling. He was leaving the zone very early.
Dolajal. Here's Reichel. Penalized player is back on. Running now for Team Canada. Fleury. Courtnall in there. Can't get the shot away. And icing is called on Czechoslovakia. Canada trailing by a score of 4-3. You're watching the World Hockey Championship on TSN.
Above and beyond. That's the Air Canada way.
Ronning off the faceoff. Reznicek bumps him, but here's Courtnall. Gets in front, Courtnall still. Here's Ronning. Linden will leg after it. Kopal in tow, hammers him along the boards. Zemlika coming back out for Czechoslovakia. Up ahead. Here comes Kolnick down the middle. Shoots! Just missed. What a rocket. Courtnall up ahead to Linden. Running alone in front. Linden couldn't get it to him. Racine at the line, can't keep it in. Offside is called on Team Canada. We played 11:33 of this third period. Canada trailing Czechoslovakia 4-3.
You coaches and trainers out there, Hockey Canada is hosting a safety in hockey seminar this June 13th to the 16th in Calgary. The program includes children in sport, injury prevention, drugs in sport, emergency response, and knee and shoulder examination. That's June the 13th to the 16th. Just call Hockey Canada's office in Calgary if you're interested.
Two-line pass called on Team Canada. Face-off will go back into the Canadian zone. Well, certainly a strong finish to the tournament for the Czechoslovaks if they can pull off a win over bound for the medal round Canada.
So we talked about their coach who is under extreme pressures, though. He's going to be wondering why that line of Dolezal, Rossel, and Reichel didn't come together a little bit earlier and perform the way that they've performed in this game today. Had they done that earlier in this tournament, Czechoslovakia would not be in this position of being out of medal round competition.
To mention, their defense hasn't been bad. Goal scoring has been brutal for them. Not in this game, though. Racine shooting. Leisure the save. Rebound in front of the net. Two swipes at it for Team Canada. Berenik clearing it down into the Canada zone, and offside called on the Czechoslovakians. Be sure to listen up at the conclusion of this game for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you today by Apple Auto Glass.
Apple Auto Glass, the pick of the crop.
Before it spreads and really costs you, get Apple's guaranteed stone chip windshield repairs. Just call
Apple Auto Glass,
the pick of the crop.
Canada down by a goal, trailing 4-3, led at one point 3-1. Bolek rolls it across in front of the net. And Lubina couldn't hang on to it. What a quick rush that was. The Czechs breaking out of their own zone so quickly.
They can adjust the tempo. Just because they've finished out of medal round competition, it does not mean the Czechoslovakian team is not highly skilled and have the abilities to beat any team. Canada, they're finding that out today, and the Soviets have found that out in the past.
You look at the way the Czechoslovaks have gone through this tournament. As I say, it's just been a matter of scoring for them. They've had a heck of a time generating any offense whatsoever. The high was 7 goals that they scored against the German team, but that's no big deal because everybody is filled the net against the German team. Pollock with a shot. Rebound, fired just wide by Lubina. Out through center, here comes Fleury, and that's up over 2 lines. Offside called on Team Canada. Once again, just to re-emphasize, Canada really needs a win in this game to slide into second place in the overall standings, because that way, when we go into the medal round, Canada would play the Soviets last, and the longer you can put that off and the stronger your team will be, hopefully, the better.
It'll be interesting to find out, though, if in fact Canada do lose this game today, how much pressure was applied to the players in order to come up with that win, the possible win today. Or did Dave King go a little easier on them?
Well, what do you think? What's the impression you got?
I don't know. I'm not certain, Paul. I think in talking to some of them beforehand, they knew the importance of this, but at the same time, I don't know that they were going to pressure themselves out of really gaining anything extra by sacrificing even injured players. Has a bit pretty obvious, hasn't it?
Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, read between the lines, and this is no slam intended at all against Craig Billington or Mike Vernon. But if you really want to win this game, if it's the must-win game, you go with the goaltender who's been #1 for you through the tournament, exactly. That being Sean Burke. He's sitting up in the press box in street clothes today. (4-3) Czechoslovakia leading Team Canada. We played 13:06. of this third period. I'm Paul Romanek with Gary Green, Jim Van Horn, and Rick Tockett, watching things back at our TSN Control Center. A win by Canada, they can finish second overall in the standings, heading into the medal round. A loss, and they are in third. Ronning, head of steam, gets it down into the corner. Here comes Linden up there. Reichel clearing it up, and well, the face-off down in Czechoslovak territory. You're watching the World Hockey Championships on TSN.
National Sports Center. For your sport, count on the lowest prices on equipment. For your problem, count on a hassle-free return policy. For your needs, count on a great selection. Like Converse's #1 selling shoe of all time, the Canvas All-Star. Like the official shoe of the NBA, Converse Basketball. Like cleats synonymous for superior performance, Converse Baseball. All you need, Converse and National Sports Center, for total customer satisfaction guaranteed.
Team Canada up on the attack, trying to tie this game up. Running. Back to Lidster. Shoots! Brija knocks it loose. Linden trying to muscle his way back into the slot. Courtnall's got it now. To Lidster at the line. Poked around him and out by Reichel. Delayed penalty coming up, and it is going to go against Czechoslovakia. So Team Canada with a chance on the power play to tie this game up.
Great opportunity now if they can do something with it. Yuri Dolasau is going to the penalty box for tripping. Star of today's game so far for Czechoslovakia is taking a bad penalty at a crucial time.
In terms of the mathematics of this situation for Canada and the standings, I'll just go over it quickly for you. Sweden is playing the Soviet Union in a game going on right now at a different venue. The Soviets are leading 4-3 in the third period. If Canada ties this game and the Soviets beat the Swedes, Canada would still finish in second place. Got all that, Gary?
Sure do. And so if it gets down to a situation in the last minute or two of this hockey game and Canada's still down one, you'll see Dave King remove his goaltender, I would expect.
It's one thing about these tournaments, the World Junior Championship the same way. You need a slide rule when it comes down to crunch time to figure out all the possibilities.
You sure do.
If this happens, that might happen, and then the other thing could have an influence on that.
The easier philosophy is just to win. Takes care of all of that, Paul.
Spoken like a true coach. Here's Larmer for Team Canada. Canada on the power play for the next minute and a half. Shenlika got some room, and he will just eat up precious time for Team Canada. Musil clearing it back in. Here's Thomas in over the line for Larmer, drops it back. Racine rattles it off the outside of the net. And there was that big shot of Racine's that he is known for and likes to use in the power play. 45 seconds left in the power play now for Team Canada. Racine stopped at the line. Here's Ronning. Teammates back on side. Ronning leads it in to Courtnall. Shooting. Brija the stop. Courtnall back of the net. Trying to get it loose. 30 seconds left in the power play. Maybe time for one more rush for Team Canada.
One real advantage for penalty killers when they have got this big ice surface is there's so much more room, as you could just see Czechoslovakia having, to clear that puck out of their own zone.
Here's Linden. 18 seconds left in the power play. Yanni leaping on top of that puck. Keeps it in to Ronning. 10 seconds left. Yanni to Lidster. Ronning shooting wide.
Ronning's mad at himself. He knew he had a great opportunity to score from a pretty good angle. Shot high. He slammed his stick on the ice.
Penalized player back on. Teams even up. Linden shoots. What a stop by Brija. Just leaned out one-on-one heat against skill, and it was Brija knocking it away. Icing called on Czechoslovakia.
Trevor Linden sure had a lot behind that shot. Peter Brisa will attest to that. A heavy shot. Trevor Linden's got such great strength at big reach. When he winds up to take a slap shot, you just know there's going to be a lot behind it.
But he used a baseball analogy. That was the pitcher coming in with his best fastball right down the middle. And the power hitter swatting it away. Parisia knocked it down with a blocker. Bozak to Archibald. Can't get it in front. Lucille up around the boards. Big play, kept in. Bozak can't get control of it in the slot. Barroso. Barroso still moves it up. Reichel in the corner. 3 minutes to play. And the puck goes up above the glass into the meshing, and we get a stoppage. Canada trailing 4-3. Canada led early in the second period by a score of 3-1, actually about midway through the second period. But the Czechoslovaks coming back with 3 unanswered goals, all from number 15, Yuri Dolajo.
Robert Reichel's had a strong game today. Scored 19 goals as a 20-year-old this year in the National Hockey League. That was just in 66 games as well.
Theron Fleury had it chopped away in front by Reichel, and Vernon's going to hang on.
It's pride that has motivated Czechoslovakia to play better today. Just by beating Canada, if they in fact can, it will make them sleep a little bit easier after having a very disappointing World Championship.
2 wins and 4 losses for Czechoslovakia. Lost 6-2 to the Soviets, 2-1 to the Swedes. Shut out by the Finns, 2-0. The U.S. beat them 4-1. Their only wins coming against the lesser lights of the tournament, Switzerland and Germany. Lubina moving it in. Hulick along the boards, trying to get it back out for Lubina. Nifty move there by Larmer to take possession. Here comes Sakic, lumbering in along the board. Sakic looks in front, can't get the pass there, and Yanni can't keep it in. Offside called on Team Canada. And Schmelik roughing Larmer up just a little bit.
Schmelik played in the World Junior Championships in '90 in Finland. That was the year that Czechoslovakia won the bronze. Still 21 years of age, going to the Buffalo Sabres.
And Richard Schmelik, just a little sentimental playing against Canada, perhaps, in his first international game for Czechoslovakia. He scored a goal against Canada. Also clearing it in for Czechoslovakia. Down in the corner, Barroso trying to get it loose. Works it loose to Reichel. Looking in front. Can't get it there. Being hacked and watched by Thomas. 2 minutes to play in the game. 4-3, Czechoslovakia leading. Canada needs a win to clinch second place, unquestionably. Here's Sakic. Battling Reichel down in the corner. And a penalty coming up, and it is going to go against Team Canada by the looks of it. A cross-checking call.
Well, this really hurts. It doesn't give Dave King much of an opportunity to try and get his goaltender out now. That wouldn't put him at an advantage, only even up as far as skating. Steve Larmer is taking a cross-checking penalty.
Another scenario for you. If Canada loses this game and the Swedes also lose their game to the Soviets, Canada and Sweden tied during the round robin, but Sweden would still finish in second place by virtue of goal differential.
It is not wins, but goal differential. That might strike a lot of people as rather amazing.
Here's Theron Fleury. So the Czechoslovaks working on the power play to finish up this game, barring a goal, of course. And Canada will be pressed just to hold the Czechs off the scoreboards. Never mind, tie this game up. We played 18:46 in period number 3. Once again, a reminder, our next broadcast coming your way on Tuesday. It will be game 1 of the medal round for Team Canada against Team Sweden. And we will have live coverage beginning at 11:55 a.m. Eastern Time. And you have a couple of options. You can set your VCR and tape the game. Watch it a little bit later if you're going to miss the game while you're at work. Or you can consult your local listings for the alternate view of the game. We played again, of course. You've got a chance to catch it a second time.
At 58:46, Czechoslovakia timeout.
Timeout call by the Czechoslovaks. Great way for the Czechoslovaks to finish this tournament with a win against Team Canada. And although they will still finish in 6th place, the U.S. defeating Finland earlier today to assure themselves of 4th place. Mike Vernon still in for Team Canada. And now he'll head to the bench. Dave King sends the extra attacker over. Ronning comes in. He's got Fleury up there with him. Canada with an empty net and an extra attacker. Here's Fleury. Back to the line. Yanni moves it across. Lended in front. Blija with a spectacular stop. Here's Yanni back at the line to Fleury. Shoots. And Blija will hang on to that. .47 seconds to play, and Team Canada pulling out all the stops. Canada playing short-handed, but evening things up by pulling the goaltender and getting the extra attacker out there. You know Linden's going to be out there the way he's played for Team Canada on that line with Ronning and Courtnall. Ronning and Courtnall not out there right now. They've got Ronning out. Sakic up front. Lidster is up front. Darren Fleury is the lone defender, parked back just inside the blue line. Linden will try to win this draw. It's a rugby scrum off the faceoff. Up along the boards, Fleury. Good hustle to keep it in. It's in front. Blija the save. Loose puck. Fleury a whack at it. And finally dragged out by Hollick. He's got an empty net to shoot at. And can't put it home. 28 seconds left. Here's Sakic for Team Canada. Back in his own end. Had it pulled away. Hollick again. Still can't put it in the empty net. Finally the net comes off the pegs. And we get a stoppage. And Lubina with a pretty good point saying the net was pulled off intentionally. And you see Cliff Ronning back there just making sure that that net's going to come off. There we go. So obviously Mike Vernon back in for the face-off. 16 seconds to play. And a timeout called by Team Canada.
Get a left-handed defense on the board. We're going to wire it. Vernon, you're going to cheat like hell. Stevie Thomas, you're going to cheat like hell. Okay, can we ice the puck here, right? We can ice the puck.
You hear Dave King reinforcing the fact that Team Canada can ice the puck.
As soon as it's wired, just
because
start
they're
coming hard.
short-handed.
Okay? Yep. .16 seconds left. Canada trailing 4-3.
A win by Canada will clinch second place for them, that being highly unlikely with 16 seconds left and them trailing by a goal. If they can tie the Czechs, then they have to hope the Soviets can beat the Swedes in a game going on right now that is tied. Sakic up there for Canada. 5 seconds left. And the Czechoslovaks pick up, if nothing else, at least a character win and something they can take home after a bad tournament for them. The final score, Czechoslovakia 4, Team Canada 3. You're watching the World Hockey Championship live on TSN. Set, fight.
Why does one person excel above all others? Is it motivation, raw talent, desire? Is it personal satisfaction, intelligence, luck? There's no magic formula, and there's really no secret. But there is Soloflex. Because Soloflex is designed and engineered with one thing in mind, your body's needs. And we've created the finest, most complete, and simplest system to attain those needs. With Soloflex, the reward is yours. For a free brochure, call anytime.
Are you still living with this nightmare? Over 1 million motorists have said never again. They've switched to Triple Edge, the world's first high-tech windshield wiper. It clears, it cleans, it wipes dry, all in a single pass. And Triple Edge wipers won't tear, dry rot, or freeze to your windshield. They're made from DuPont Nordel, used in radial tires. So strong that if they ever fail, we'll replace them free. Triple Edge gives you visibility through the heaviest downpour. It whisks away snow and ice. Even mud is no match for Triple Edge. They're $29.95 a pair. Custom fit to install in seconds. No noise, no streaking, no smearing, no tearing. They're the last windshield wipers you'll ever buy.
Call toll-free 1-800-543-1007 or send $29.95 plus $4.95 shipping and handling to Triple Edge Wipers, P.O. Box 747, Station A, Department 126, Downsview, Ontario.
Subdued celebration by Team Czechoslovakia. They scored 3 unanswered goals in the late stages of the second period and 1 in the third period to defeat Canada by a score of 4-3 to wind up preliminary play for both teams. Canada advances to the medal round. Czechoslovakia does not. Welcome back to our TSN Control Center. I'm Jim Van Horn along with Rick Tocchet of the Philadelphia Flyers. They mentioned it was a moral victory for Team Czechoslovakia despite the fact that they aren't going to the medal round. It's always a big win when you can beat Canada.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of teams want to beat Team Canada. You know, their program's going to probably be a little bit more excited now after beating Team Canada and going into the Canada Cup. That's their big goal, probably.
What does the Canadian team feel right now? They obviously going into the medal round. Does it have much of an effect on them?
I don't think so, Jim. I mean, they're going to be going into the medal round right now, and you know, they're excited. And you know, the goal's up for stake. This game was a nothing game. I think they just wanted to iron out a few things, but I don't think it'll be a problem after this loss.
You mentioned, made the observation during the third period of play that you were surprised the game wasn't as chippy as they have been in the past. Very few penalties. In fact, there was, what, 2 in the third period, 1 in the second, and none in the first?
Well, the personnel, there's not as much hitting. You got more finesse guys, Ronning and Courtnall and these guys, and it seems like the hitting's not there, and they're playing more of a finesse style. But, you know, I think they're going to have to take the body a little more against the Russians and, you know, definitely USA team.
It sort of gave you an indication of just how seriously the Canadians were taking this game with just a couple of seconds left in the third period. Cliff Ronning literally grabs the net and pulls it off its moorings, and they had a good chuckle about it afterward.
That was a smart play. Yes, he just used his hand and his stick to take the net off the moorings. That was funny.
They have to get serious, though, because the medal round does start on Tuesday with a game against Sweden. Time to start looking ahead to the medal round, and it's time to take care of business.
Exactly. One loss pretty well can get you out of the gold medal contention. So, you know, the first game, you got to come out of the gates fast. You're playing the Swedes, who played well against Canada last on Friday. So it's going to be a tough match, and but like I said, if they get the goaltending, they're going to be there.
All right, Rick Tocchet, thank you very much. Let's take you back to Finland now with Gary Green standing by with Cliff Ronning. Gary?
Cliff, your thoughts on the disappointing loss today?
Well, it was tough because we didn't really play well. We didn't play like our coach wanted us to, and playing a system that works over here. We went individual and it didn't work, so it's the best thing that could have happened to us. We lost, we embarrassed ourselves, and now we're going to the medal round and have a little hunger now because this is where it counts.
I know positioning was important, and we've certainly talked about that during the course of the game, and I know Dave King talked about that you wanted to end up in second place. But how difficult is it for players really to motivate themselves before a game like this, knowing really that you're already in the medal round competition?
Well, almost every guy in here is a professional hockey player, so, you know, it's part of the game. You got to get ready no matter what level you're at. It is a little harder than getting up for playoffs when it's a game that really doesn't mean a lot, except, like you said, where the standings are. It was the best thing for us to lose, to embarrass ourselves, and now we got to go out and prove that we can play and in the medal rounds, because that's when it's going to be really tough. There's something on the line.
Putting today's game aside, let's go back for the last week especially. Do you like playing on this big ice surface, and your thoughts on playing in international hockey?
Well, I've been fortunate enough that I've kind of traveled a little bit. I played in Italy, and I was used to the larger rink. It's an adjustment because you can't use any quickness to your advantage. It's all speed and timing. And once you learn that you can time yourself a little more here and have a little more room, you can create more things for your line mates, and also they can do more things when they get the puck. I think it's tough for some guys that haven't never played on this ice because defensively they go deep with it, and all of a sudden they throw it back to the point. There's a lot more room to cover, and I think that it's a little adjustment for a lot of the players. And I think a lot of times when NHL players come to, you know, play under Dave King, they sometimes, you know, you don't listen to them that much until they put two by you. And I think we learned tonight that you got to play his way because he's obviously proven that's the only way you can win.
Well, Cliff, I'm sure we'll see a different and more motivated Team Canada in the upcoming week. Thank you very much for stopping by. Now let's go to Rick Tocchet with Jim Van Horn.
Thank you very much, Gary. There's still 2 positions open on Team Canada. If teams are eliminated from the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight, which is a distinct possibility, we could possibly see 2 new players come to Team Canada for the medal round. Is it good to bring in the late players at this stage, or is this team, will the team be disrupted?
Not if you had 1 or 2 players, won't be that bad. If you get to 5 or 6, like I remember last year, it can be disruptive. I think if you can add, they're going to try to add a defenseman and a forward who can score. It's going to help.
Do you think they need a goal scorer? They seem to have done pretty well. It was nice to see Joe Sakic get a goal today. He has struggled in the last couple of days.
Yeah, I really believe they need it as a defenseman who can shoot the puck on the power play. They have a lot of good defensive defensemen, but if they can get a guy who can shoot the puck and also play defense, like they're mentioning Scott Stevens, he'd be a great acquisition.
All right, well, hopefully Scott Stevens doesn't want to go to Europe at the present time. He'd like to extend his season just a little bit longer. All right, the game started out very strangely. There was actually a no-hitter in the first period, but the goals started coming fast and furious in the second. At 2:55, Steve Bozic from Lidster and Fleury gave Canada a 1-0 lead, but at 11.5 minutes into the second period, Frank Musil of the Calgary Flames from Baranek and Dolezal tied the game at 1-1. And then in a span of 1 minute and 18 seconds, Canada expanded their lead. First of all, Cliff Ronning from Trevor Linden made it 2-1 at 12:29. 1 minute and 18 seconds after that, at 13:47, Joe Sakic scored his 4th of the tournament to make it 3-1. Larmer and Conroy picking up the assists on that goal. And then it was the turn of the Czechoslovaks. Yuri Dolezal scored his first goal of the game, got a second point from Rosol and Reichel at 16:36, and then 40 seconds later, it was 3-3 from Dolezal again. Rosol and Reichel scoring at 17:16. The scoring was rounded out by Dolezal early in the third at the 1:20 mark. That made it 4-3, and the eventual game-winning goal as Czechoslovakia came from behind to defeat Canada by a score of 4-3 to wrap up preliminary round-robin play at the World Hockey Championship. Still more to come. Stay with us. We'll be back after this.
You can go as far as your heart can see. Be on any road that you want to be. It's your day. You're on your way with that song. Now's the time for celebration. You're on your way with that song. It's your day. You're on your way.
because you care. Above and beyond. That's the Air Canada way.
Welcome back. It is time now for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Apple Auto Glass. After a goalless first period and a 3-all tie through 2, Czechoslovakia takes the lead 1 minute and 20 seconds into the third period. Reichel to Yuri Dolezal as he scores his third goal of the game. As we take another look at it, it turns out to be the game winner. Dolezal beating Mike Vernon, who replaced Craig Billington, who played a very strong 2 periods of play, as Czechoslovakia defeats Canada by a score of 4-3. A cash donation will be made to the Coaching Association of Canada for training and development of coaches in amateur sports on behalf of TSN and Apple Auto Glass. Saves you money on stone chip windshield repairs. 4-3 the final score, Czechoslovakia over Canada. A moral victory for Team Czechoslovakia. They now go into the relegation round, and it is important for them, Rick Tocchet, to play well in that round because it determines the seedings for next year's World Championships. And of course, the team that finishes dead last faces the gold medal winners, and that's always tough to come into a tournament facing the best against the last.
I'm sure they're going to want to finish as high as possible, and as being one of the teams that were counted on to be the Final Four, I'm sure they're going to want a 5th or 6th place finishing.
You mentioned that you didn't think it was going to be a demoralizing victory for Team Canada. They knew already going in that they were into the medal round and were going to be playing Sweden on Tuesday. It gave them a chance to maybe try a few things. Mike Vernon also got in to play the third period, so Dave King had a chance to use a number of different players.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I mean, they're going to go into the practice tomorrow and like I said, get ready for Sweden, Team Sweden, and you know, you can't worry about this game. It was basically a nothing game for them, and you know, it was nice to see a guy like Joe Sakic come out of his slump, and you know, you're going to get guys like Larmer coming back, and you know, and Sean Burke's rested. So it's a negative because they lost, but it'll be positive in the long run.
The memory of the game, the tie against Sweden, will be fresh in their minds going into the Tuesday's game because they just played them on Friday. Is that going to help the team in their preparations?
Oh, definitely. I think that second period is going to be in their mind when they got it shot 20-4. I think the difference, though, on against Team Sweden is going to be the goaltending. I think we definitely have better goaltending than them, and who owns the front of the net, and I think we got bigger players, so I think that's what it's going to come down to over their skill. They got a lot of skilled players, though.
And they also have a veteran team, so on paper they look like they're going to be a dominant force, but they have been rather disappointing. They've had 3 ties actually, throughout the course of the preliminary round, so they're going to have trouble scoring goals against Team Canada.
I really think so. I just think Team Canada's got to tighten up a little bit, not give as many shots, let Burke see the puck, and get the transition game going. You know, you got Sakic, Ronnie, and these guys can fly. You know, you're going to get some goals off them.
Do you anticipate that Sean Burke will see action in all 3 games of the medal round?
I'll tell you right now, he's going to be probably obviously play against Team Sweden, and Dave King, I guess, will go from there, and then, you know, to see what happens after that.
Okay, Rick, thank you very much. We'll talk to you again on Tuesday.
Thanks, Jim.
All right, Rick Tocchet of the Philadelphia Flyers will be back with us on Tuesday for our next telecast as the medal round gets underway. That's Canada and Sweden for the gold medal. Not quite, but they have to win all 3 of their games. That's 11:55 Eastern, live on TSN, Canada and Sweden. Be sure to join us. The final score of today's game as the round-robin preliminaries wrap up, Czechoslovakia over Team Canada. The final score today, 4-3. For Rick Tocchet, Gary Green, and Paul Romanek, I'm Jim Van Horn. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. TSN, Canada's leader in international hockey coverage, has been pleased to present the 1991 World Hockey Championships from Tampere, Finland. Brought to you by Air Canada, a proud sponsor of international hockey, Esso Associates and Imperial Oil. You're on your way with Esso, and by Labatt's Blue.